New Tap and Burger logo.
Okay, good afternoon and welcome. Here we are. It's a Monday. It's March 23rd. The Modern Eater Show continues live coverage of coronavirus outbreak and the effects on food and beverage. I'd ask you how you're doing, but I think we're all probably
pretty well aware.
Pretty aware of the same. Rebecca Berry, Greg Holland back with you. We've got a big show. We're going to jump right into it. I think everybody woke up today pinching themselves, hoping that this was just a bad sci-fi nightmare, and we figure out we're still in this, but we're in it together. As we welcome our audience on Facebook and YouTube, we've got a great guest with us in studio. We'll go right to him. His name is Juan Padro, Tap and Burger Concepts and Culinary Creative. Here it is. Welcome to the Modern Eater Show, Juan.
Hey, Juan. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Good to see you. We kind of held off for about 30 minutes so we could get through that Michael Hancock presser. The mayor came out and a lot to go. Let's just start there with what we heard. There it is. Denver rec pot and liquor stores to close from 5 p.m. tomorrow till April 10th. So that's a new headline. It looks like right now that's not going to affect restaurants and maybe even help out a little bit, Juan.
Restaurants are essential. Food's essential. And I think that's not dissimilar to any other crisis. So that doesn't surprise me.
As folks are joining us right now, again, welcome Juan Padro here with us, just broadcasting all over Denver and the Front Range. As we spent last week pretty much just reacting and to the theme of today's show as we're trying to just capsulize the mood or the tone of the day. Kind of quiet before the storm and brace yourselves, Juan, as we're told by officials on the local, state, federal level that it's going to get worse before it gets better. And we're seeing it now, shutting it down all over the place, all around us. At first blush, what's your take on today, the tone, the mood?
I got to be honest with you, man. The least of my concerns are, the actual. I shouldn't say the least of my concerns, but my number one focus is on my people and the kids in the restaurant industry and anybody that's a vulnerable citizen. That's got to be the focus and the priority. Coronavirus doesn't take your brain away. If a restaurant goes out of business, is that terrible? Yeah, it's terrible. But if you're accomplished, I don't think anybody's going to look at you and say, hey, you're a failure. And I think right now, we've got to be able to make sure that we're focused on the mental health and the mental well-being of society's, like I said, most vulnerable.
Yeah.
Well
said, and let's go slow. We've got you for a little while now, and
sure.
I kind of want to just take it through. Let's jump back. Not last Monday when they shut down restaurants. Let's jump back a week ago, Friday.
Yep.
To it's like this is coming for us, and you and your group. Where do you begin with your business? Where did you begin?
Yeah, so just following this stuff, and I'm very fortunate that I have a great mentor and a woman named Allison Thompson, who's one of the world's great humanitarians, and I've had an opportunity to go on missions with her, and certainly was down in Puerto Rico for Hurricane Maria, and got to see how to handle situations that are crisis situations firsthand. And so I was able to lean on her quite a bit and just get some guidance there and some reassurances that I was doing the right thing. So I started talking to ownership at the end of last week saying, hey, this is a reality that we're going to be faced with. And, just even at the ownership level, we've got 5 of us and, there's some disbelief there and owners are no different than anybody else. They're human beings, and they're going to go through the same mental process. But it's our responsibility to lead, and so just making sure that everybody knew that we're going to go through something together, and that we need to be unified and have a good message for the people that work for us, and make sure that they understand that we're going to take care of them at all costs.
What was the tone? Was the severity felt at that point?
I don't think so. I don't think it, I mean, the shock of listening to a government official shut you down, it's like, when you have somebody in your family that's going to pass away and you've been waiting for years and years and years for it to happen. I mean, it doesn't really make it any easier, So, we were in a situation where, we had already had a leadership meeting scheduled for noon on Monday. We had scheduled that over the beginning of the weekend. And so, like I said, we had an idea this was coming. We didn't know that Mayor Hancock was going to shut us down for 8 weeks, but what we did know was that we wanted to start and get ahead. And, it's an opportunity to lead. And I hate to use the word excited, but the reality is that when you have an opportunity like that, it's a once in a lifetime chance, and you want to make sure that you can take whatever positive you can out of any situation. And for us, it was pulling a bunch of people together and getting everybody on the same page, and then getting setting up calls for. So our Monday process was the management meeting. Then we set up calls with every single one of our restaurants, which I conducted for 30 to 45 minutes. And we kind of went over, what this stuff meant, what we knew about it. I think a lot of times stress and anxiety comes from watching the news and being on social media. It's easy to point the finger at the president or the mayor or the governor or whoever, but, there's a process that has to happen, and you've got to walk through that. So just kind of educating people on how money flows and what the process is going to look like. And, for us, we made a decision to be extremely blunt and just say, this is going to suck. And it's going to get worse before it gets better. And then we talked a little bit about, like I said, not a little bit. The majority of the call really is around mental health, and we set up a system where every 48 hours, every single person in our organization is communicated with. So, and we want to make sure that we're staying consistent with that. And so, whether it's phone call or text or just leaving a voicemail and just some simple questions to see how people are doing and let them know that you care about them and that they're not alone.
And at the same time, there it is, the bloodletting of layoffs began as well.
Yeah, I mean, we kept all our salary people on a reduced salary, and we're asking them to make some sacrifices, and they're doing a great job and working really hard doing that. We set up a fund called the Nancy Fund, which over the last 48 hours or so has raised about $55,000.
Wow.
We made a commitment as an ownership group that we were going to keep anyone who was on our benefits is going to stay. And typically we do, employee contribution. There's an employer contribution, and there's an employee contribution as well. But obviously, our hourly people aren't working, so we're going to cover that for them. And the fund certainly helped. We set a goal to raise $50,000, and we did it in 2 days. And that was sparked by, one of our regulars, Nancy Grieger, who, basically she's a realtor, and said, hey, I got $14,000 sitting in my bank account. I'm going to put it in this.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic, and it continues.
It does, yeah. It does continue, and you're going to see a lot of innovation. As hard as all this stuff is, you have no choice. So we have to redo a business model like a lot of other restaurants in town, and
it struck me as and I hate to interrupt, but the word excited that came a little bit, but excited in the sense of we've got something new that we're facing here. This isn't our everyday business model that's in place, and it's a mechanism. Excited in the sense of we've trained a lot. We've got a lot of great people around us. Now let's see how we respond, and let's get through this through triage.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it really just comes down to leadership, and to me, it's anytime you have an opportunity to lead, regardless of the situation, and typically. It's a lot easier to lead when things are going well, and typically the most difficult things are situations like this, or other tragic situations or crisis situations, and having an opportunity to be able to step up and take responsibility for your business and for your people, and deliver good messages and keep as many people employed as you can. and just genuinely take care of them. I mean, that's the most important thing for me. So, and that's my view on it.
What's the jump across? And before the broadcast today, I said, well, probably one of the toughest things that you've gone through. I mean, probably not. Puerto Rico, what's the lessons that you learned that are applicable today?
Well, Puerto Rico is a lot different situation. You know, the hurricane kind of ripped through an island. It doesn't necessarily have the infrastructure that you have on the mainland. So when it kind of came in through the southeast part of the island, and winds hit 237 miles an hour. So if you know anything about like hurricanes, a Category 5 hurricanes, like 135 to 150. I think Katrina hit, right around 150, 155 was pretty devastating, as we know. But this kind of whipped through the middle of the island where the poorest and most vulnerable live, so they live up in the hills and, some tin houses and sometimes not running water and things like that. And then, they had one power grid for the whole island and no generators, or they have some, but, mostly like the hotels and things like that. So people had no water, they had no food. They were literally rationing water to a family of 4. I can't really recall exactly what it was, but I think it was like two 16-ounce bottles a day. If you were to go out to my Facebook page back to October 2017, you can see that's all documented there. And that place got ravaged. People were dying, people were sick. Hospitals were destroyed. You couldn't drive around. You couldn't move. Here, this is a terrible situation, and I'm not trying to minimize that at all. Certainly, I think we need to be super conscious. I think a lot of people out on social media aren't really, they're reacting, and they're not thinking about the fact that, it's none of our individual responsibility to tell somebody else how to feel. And people are hurting. For me down in Puerto Rico, just like empathy became, core to who I am. So that's like the number one thing.
Wow.
Absolutely. The differences that strike me is kind of this looming imminence right now. Is that hurry up and wait, the quiet before the storm, whereas though that was just like a reaction, like this happened, it's devastated, we need to pick up the pieces. That kind of unknown factor that's happening right now is affecting people.
Yeah, 100%, and naturally, people they're gonna have a really like strong reaction to any change, even if it's positive change. You see negative reaction to that all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to localize it to it, we're talking about restaurants, right? I mean, when somebody takes nachos off a restaurant menu, people go nuts, right? I mean, like this is a much is a much bigger situation, and the message really is control what you can control. And I think that's what they're trying to do, Like if we have the ability to control this, if we have the ability to help out our healthcare workers, if we have the ability to in any way, slow down the traffic going through these hospitals so that these folks are not overwhelmed, we should do that. We're all in this together. This isn't nobody's saying that millions and millions and millions of people are going to die from this. I think we're just saying, hey, use precaution, have respect for your fellow human being, work on controlling what you can control in your own space. Everything from washing your hands to sanitizing to taking a shower right when you get home and taking your clothes off and throwing them in the hamper and washing them, not wearing them twice, and stuff like that. So those are all the precautions you can take. And is it going overboard? Maybe not. We don't know. That's the whole thing.
The thing is it's unknown, right? Yeah. So the fear of the unknown makes people go even crazier. At least, in these times of traumatic incidents that happen, hurricanes, we know what the outcome's going to be. We know what we need to do and to be proactive as soon as we're reactive, right. If that makes sense. You're going to have a plan. Here, we just don't know.
And honestly, I don't know that our government officials really know how to handle this. I mean, it doesn't seem that way. And look, they're all great people, and I think Governor Polis, I think, has done a good job. But the state of Colorado's broke, right? It has no money.
Right. Well, and I think if you look at it, they stated very clearly the other day, this really isn't about politics right now. It's about solving the problem. Period. And trying to fix this and move forward as best we can.
You're talking about at a local level, right?
Well, I'm talking at a local level. And I mean, obviously, it gets a little controversial, but just we need to solve this problem now at the end of the day is what it is. Fix it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that in not having the expectation that everybody's going to have every answer for you.
Right.
Sometimes people are going to be wrong. The situation is so incredibly fluid. Information changes on a daily basis, on an hourly basis. Being understanding of that, being understanding of your fellow human being. I know you're stressed out, but pay attention to your breath work.
Absolutely. We will get through this. It's just a matter of when. And I think that's a part of that holding pattern that's frustrating right now. As we dig in right now, Juan Padro joins us. And Juan, I'd like to really just kind of get into that real conversation of like, how is this really, the modern eater? We're champions of small business. We love Colorado. Denver is a hot spot for us with a lot of friends in the business, and having you join us to really have those candid conversations is very valuable. As Juan Padro continues with us on the Modern Eater Show, it is a Monday, March 23rd. Just talking about the after effects and what we can look at for the week ahead. Tap and Burger Concepts, Culinary Creative. But that quiet before the storm, and Mr. Oso, AshKara, Morin, Senior Bear, Sloan's Lake Tap and Burger, Highlands Tap and Burger, and Bardo. A lot of restaurants, a lot of employees, a lot of work involved in this. And as life changed for you and your team, as you know it, just this last Monday, to where business as usual turned into business unusual. Some of the things that you're seeing now as your business model pivots, and what kind of losses are you feeling? Where's revenue over a couple of weeks ago? What are you looking at on a realistic basis as a businessman?
I think for me it was about going into the thing with a plan and setting yourself up. So you can't really look at it that way. You've got to look at it like, okay, so who are our debtors? Let's have a plan for having that conversation. Who are our landlords? Let's have that conversation. And that really varies because you've got your mom and pop landlords, who, by the way, have all been incredible to us. And then you have, Denver's a city that has a lot of, new development. And, and these new developments are backed by huge investment banks. And, when you go in and you sign a lease, they package that stuff up and they sell it. They can't just give you free rent. Mm-hmm. And as much as we're like, hey, this big company can afford it, they still have to go get permission for that. And it's a super complicated process, and it stinks. And we have to really take a good look at how we negotiate our leases and when you move into developments like that.
I've been saying that, through this, it's not brands that do business with other brands. It's people that do business with other people right now. And that's what's going to shine throughout the end there. So the communication, getting your house in order to begin with, was top priority in your book.
Yeah, again, it goes back to controlling what you can, and you have to, contact your broadliners and contact your banks and contact your liquor distributors and contact everybody that you owe money to or that owes you money. Mm-hmm. Have a conversation, set the expectation, know what you're playing with. So I think once you understand that, you can start making real decisions.
Yeah, where'd you go from there?
From at the same, kind of, we divvied that piece up to Katie, who's our CFO, and Kevin, who runs the Tap and Burger brand for us, and then Max is our other partner, who's the culinary partner, and his responsibility was to go and streamline menus and consolidate. So we consolidated to Lower Highlands. We put we call it AshKara. We have Bardo and AshKara in one store.
So creative.
And then we have SEÑOR Bear, Mr. Oso, and Highland Tap going out of the Tap and Burger. We closed down Morin. We closed down Bellevue. We closed down SEñOR Bear, and we closed down AshKara. We kept Sloan's Tap and Burgers sort of the ground central for our organization. Sure. So what we did was we set up family meal every day, 3 to 5, so we could feed everybody, because there's 4 essentials that you have to have in crisis. If to go back to what you had asked for in Puerto Rico, you need a roof over your head, you need water, you need light, and you need food. So to make sure that all our people had all their essentials, that was critical to us. And then from there, we knew that we were going to have to kind of continuously tweak the model that we were going with. So week 1, we went, noon to 8 every day. And what we learned was that, we kind of switched that up a little bit. We only have one of the restaurants open at noon right now, and that's Sloan's. Everybody else is going to open up at 4, and it's just a better use of labor. It's not overworking your people. So we listen to them, we get their feedback, and it's like anything else. Ask questions because you care and you want to know, not just to ask them and take that information and make good decisions with them. And that's kind of what we did. Max also went in and had all the chefs get all the perishables, chop all that stuff up, create little meal kits for our staff. Right. Everybody could take food home.
So it was natural instinct. Staff was number one to take care of.
Oh yeah.
I think it's been kind of that's what it's been for almost everybody that I've spoken with, was staff first, and then people who weren't able to get meals, and then donations, maybe if things were starting to go to the soup kitchens and such. But definitely family first. Do
you anticipate business as usual and to retain? There's a lot of talent out there right now.
Well, it's a nomadic business.
Yeah.
I mean, so you always have a fair amount of turnover in restaurants. We have a little bit more on the tap side than we do. Not a ton, though. I mean, at the creative side, hardly any. So, I don't know. I mean, I think some people probably, went home, wanted to hang out with their families, and I certainly understand that. But I think in general, people are holding tight, and we've got good dialogue with them. If they call, we answer. Again, the communication piece and just letting people know what the heck's going on. And we're not. I don't know about I can't speak for other businesses, but I feel like we're decent at communication, but our communication has to be on point right now because it's critical. Mm-hmm. So that's a huge focus for us, and hopefully when we get out of this on the other side, that's something that we implement just as a company because we're seeing an entire business model get reinvented, and it's because of how good the communication was and everybody working together and stuff. So I'm super optimistic about what the other side of this looks like. There's going to be some troubled waters ahead, but I love my team. I think we're good.
Absolutely. The pivot points that you've had to make with your team. We have about 1 week of data, really not much, but take the temperature and speak of what you're seeing out there as well, not just within your organization. What's working within the climate right now of what we have to work with restaurants? What do you see working? What do you see not really working? And then maybe this week ahead of some just helpful words of wisdom to other folks.
Well, for me, we're still in kind of uncharted territory, so we don't really know. The curbside delivery stuff and all that. I mean, it's moving the meter.
Is that exhausting, though? Is it just taking a toll on?
I mean, so what? That's just the reality of the situation. It sucks. We're tired, all of us, at the end of the day. But that's what we're faced with, so that's what we're going to deal with. So there's no sense in complaining about that. But the reality is, I don't know what's working at the restaurant level and what's not working at the restaurant level. I can tell you that, you'll have the meter will be moved in a very limited way with this particular business model in this particular climate. Mm-hmm. I'm more concerned with what's going on in Washington and how this trickles down to our industry and because the reality is at the end of the day, like I said, the state of Colorado has no money. We're a Tabor state, and we sit there and distribute we have no surplus. We have no reserve fund. All that money is redistributed back out to the taxpayers, and I'll tell you what, that's not looking like such a great idea right now. Mm-hmm. And so we're reliant on federal funding, and if these guys can't get it together in Washington and get money down to the state level, we're all going to be in some trouble.
Well, let's jump into that economics portion. I think great segue right there. As we look at the local level, that things, last week that where is the help theme came from a lot of small business owners. And the first thing that you'll always see is an offering of a loan. No grants are going to come at you first. They're going to see you jumping on the loans. For me personally, I don't think that it's very reasonable to, especially in restaurants where the margins are so thin, to saddle your business with more debt, especially when you may have been struggling before or just keeping the lights on. The prospect of a small business loan for folks right now, probably not a great idea.
I don't know. It really depends on how you're structured internally, and the SBA. Initially everybody's going out for these EIDL loans, and that's the economic interference and disaster loans. And those loans that's an existing program that's been around forever. And it's largely for rural communities. So it's like, eastern Kansas, you got a tornado that rips through and, hammers a diner and a farm and stuff like that. And they're able to go and take care of that through the SBA. And it's a great program, but, they're rolling it out across the country. And so they're writing the book as they're kind of going along. But, the debt on those is not bad. The debt is it's a 30-year amortization at 3.75% up to $2 million. And so if you look at your debt that way, and as opposed to like standard restaurant debt, which is typically a 5 or a 7 year term in an AM, it's doable for at least for us, and I can't speak for everybody else, but there's a couple stipulations, with that particular SBA loan that I think, are super hurtful to urban small businesses. And so you have the credit elsewhere provision, which basically says that if you qualify for credit from, a bank or anywhere else that you don't qualify for the SBA, or if you have an investor that has, any kind of net worth, you also don't. And if you're a restaurant group, so I'll just use my group as an example. And we have somebody who's worth, tens of millions of bucks that, maybe one of us went to college with and was like, yeah, I'll throw $50,000 at your burger joint in DTC. Yeah. Well, Morin and Bardo can't get an SBA loan because of, we can just, the SBA says, hey, you can go and you can get credit from that person. So it's my understanding that provision is going to get waived. Which would be a really big deal. And the SBA can't waive that, and that's the other thing, and that's why we have to rely on the feds, right? Because it's statutory, right? So that stuff comes down from Congress. So Congress has to waive that. So I'm hopeful that is one of the things that comes out in the stimulus, and I've been speaking with one of our senators on a regular basis, and I know he's been fighting for that. And then the other one is the standard size provision, which is, it basically says that if you are a restaurant or a restaurant group, you cannot exceed $8 million in top line sales, which, in an urban market, that's 2 restaurants, so anybody beyond that, you're out of luck. So they really need to, kind of rethink what that looks like. And so if they can do that, then those EIDL loans become more palatable. Mm-hmm. The other thing that was introduced at the federal level, and I think this has, largely been agreed to by both Democrats and Republicans.
Bipartisan on this one.
Yeah, is the loan forgiveness. And you had talked about like grants and things like that. And it's not a grant. It's a loan that comes out that basically, I know they've been going back and forth on how long this is going to be. It looks like right now it's 8 weeks, up to $10 million. To cover all your payroll, all your expenses, and stuff like that. And the particular loan is the idea of it is a really good one because it allows you to pay your small farmers and allows you to pay your rent. It keeps things going, right, in the economy. So I really like the idea of that. I'm not sure 8 weeks is super exciting because as opposed to being able to qualify for the long-term debt. But at the end of the 8 weeks, if you are in compliance with what the funds are there for, they forgive the debt. So the loan forgiveness piece of it, I think, is
that's attractive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is. But, if you're looking long-term at your business and you're saying, hey, what's my best strategy? Is it an 8-week strategy or is it a 30-year strategy? And that's going to be for each individual restaurant group and each individual restaurant owner to decide for themselves. Yeah. But, These SBA loans are super complicated to apply for. I think the application process is like 67 pages. You can't do both loans, so you got to be really careful.
You can't submit on both?
You can't accept. So you can't. So if you submitted for the SBA and you accepted the terms of the SBA, you can't qualify for the forgiveness.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you got to be real careful with that. Mm-hmm. That's current state.
So the ripple effect, as we're seeing now, and the economic portion of this, I think, is where a little bit of the feet dragging comes into play in Washington. And please work through this with me. I'm learning as we go, and I really appreciate this great conversation with you, Juan Padro, Tappenberger Concepts, Culinary Creative. The ripple effect of, we're seeing different portions. I'm seeing food service, the chain is broken. Restaurants broke that chain going all the way. I know a lot of some friends in manufacturing, and they're strictly food service. They're scrambling to figure out a retail portion of that to get into that, and seeing food service broken at this point and trying to jockey for position. And then I'm seeing retail to where they're making money hand over fist. So how do we determine that division or that dichotomy right now of who's making money, who's not making money, and where that aid is actually needed and getting it to them in an efficient, expeditious manner?
I don't think you can really prioritize based on that. That would be a nightmare to try to figure that out. I think at the end of the day, the packages are pretty substantial, and you can't say you get this much and you don't, and because then you're going to have to dig into the person's business. This money needs to come this week.
Yeah.
You got 72 hours to get this money to restaurants, or we're going to have a bloodbath next week, right? So for most, and
that's real. That is real right there.
That's right.
Do you see it? I don't see that that's going to take place within the next week.
I think that one of the things you have to understand about in crisis situations, like everybody's, there's a lot of jockeying back and forth right now at the federal level, and there's an ideological debate going on in Congress right now. And the reason why I personally have a problem with that, and I'll preface this by saying, I'm a Northeast liberal, right?
Okay.
I voted for Hillary Clinton over Obama. I voted for Hillary Clinton against Trump, and I just voted for Elizabeth Warren. But the Democrats have fucked this up, big time. And, at the end of the day, we need a package to get through to solve a problem, and it's not perfect at all. And there's some stuff that stinks in that thing. There's no doubt about it. And do I agree with Democrats in the bigger picture? Yeah. That's why I'm a Democrat. Mm-hmm. But the reality is that in this particular scenario, because of the time frame that we have, we got to get these small businesses funded, I know they're pushing for greater unemployment insurance and stuff like that for 4 or 6 months, but that's not going to, that is nowhere near enough if there's no businesses to hire.
Do you see it coming in waves? And should it?
So on the economic relief piece, yes, the 8-week loan forgiveness thing, I think that would be the first wave of that, and I think there's probably stuff behind that. In terms of the SBA, it's the SBA. It's a loan. It's a vehicle that allocates capital to small businesses. It's always there.
Without help, how would your groups do? How long would you last?
That's a Katie question more than anything. She has that, but we're in decent shape right now. So we've just got the smartest human being running our finances, and Katie's pretty amazing, and so she's basically moving money around to make sure that we've got money for payroll, and we've got a lot of support from investors and things like that. We're fortunate, but I don't know if I were to hazard a guess, the end of another few weeks in its current state.
Yeah.
But again, everything's fluid, everything's changing. We're smart, we're resilient, and we'll figure it out, as we get closer to this thing and we have more information, the game changes.
Yeah.
And so am I going to sit here and freak out about 5 or 8 weeks down the road? Hell no.
Yeah.
What I am going to freak out about is, and I understand, and this isn't me personally, but if I was a small business owner and I couldn't keep my doors open, and I know that basically this week I'm done, that would freak me out. That would stink, and I get it.
And a lot of us are in that position. Listen, when we look at the wall of sponsors that we have behind us, all food service, You know, and so one of the things that strikes me is, am I going to just stop promoting them or have their businesses change? Probably. Will some of them exist on the other side of this? Maybe not. But this is where it really starts to get good, is seeing the community react.
Right.
Seeing how it's a band together type of thing. And again, goes back to the people doing business with people portion of this. Survival is quintessential to have others with you. You can't be on an island and survive alone.
I mean, so it's funny you say that because we're in a situation where they're telling us to stay away from each other.
Social distance.
Right.
But how do we...
And just in general, as human beings, I mean, we mourn together. We get through crises by touch and hug and sharing tears and whatever that is. And
let's do that. What's the good you're seeing right now? Call people out. Say some things that right now is just really filling your heart.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, filling my heart, huh? I mean, like, look, at the end of the day right now, I'm looking at my staff working their asses off.
Many are tuned in to you right now. You can speak directly to them.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I mean, they're hearing a lot from me, so maybe too much.
Maybe they're tuned out.
They may be tuned out. I'm not quite sure, but the folks that have been working have done an incredible job. I mean, like I said, launching a new business model in 48 hours, bringing money into the business so that we can kind of continue to stay afloat and breathe. Innovation has been great. We've had great leadership from our chefs. We've had great leadership from our finance people. We've had great leadership from basically every single person that's working. We've been very, very, very clear that, leader doesn't necessarily mean manager. It's how you behave. It's how you talk. It's how you lift people up. It's your concern for other people. It's your concern for your community. And those things are huge. And then, having situations like, like this Nancy Fund, where people have come together and, like I said, in 48 hours, I think we're at $53,000 or something like that, which is just insane.
Folks that are watching, listening, how can they contribute?
If they go out to any of our websites, there'll be a link there. Any of our social media, you'll see the Nancy Fund all over the place, and that's just an example of
do that now.
Somebody that is, I don't know her financial status, to be honest with you, but my impression is that she's just a hardworking, successful realtor in town, and that's an incredible person, and put others before her. So that's amazing.
Amazing.
On a macro level, Katie Laser, amazing. So let me see who else is like really sticking out. I would probably talk a little bit more about her because Eat Denver. There's all kinds of threads and things like that going on there, and I can't imagine when I was 30. I think she's 30. She might be upset with me by telling her age, but being 30 years old, dealing with this, having 50-year-olds, calling and asking you for advice. She's been amazing. So she's a leader.
Just those beacons in the night.
The leaders are going to pop up. They're going to be very evident at the end of this, and I'm excited for that because that's what's going to drive us forward. She's at the top of the list.
Another great segue. I'm really seeing organizations either show up or just sit on the couch and watch others.
I don't get that. It's not my place to judge, but there's definitely a difference. There has been extremes on how people have, dealt with their employees. And again, you have to be empathetic because you don't know how people are going to react to stress and anxiety and depression and all this kind of stuff. And it's not fair to sit there and like judge them. But personally, for me, I'm going to throw some haymakers before I go down.
Absolutely. Another theme as we've continued coverage, Juan Padro joins us. Some of the most devastating fires leave behind the most fertile soil at some point. There's going to be a lot of opportunity. What do you see?
I'm not. I got to be honest with you. Like for me, yeah, there's always opportunity out of crisis. I look.
Not even on your mind though.
No, not really. I mean, on my mind, yeah, but not something I really care to talk about because I'm focused on my people.
That seems to be the theme with you, your folks.
Yep.
They got you where you are today.
They did.
That's humbling.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Can't do it alone.
No, this is not a solo business, that's for sure. You'd be pretty lonely, and it wouldn't be too fun, and you wouldn't grow. So, we're all doing this stuff together. But, there's naturally stuff that we're seeing every single day that, just out of the kitchens, hey, we could do this in a fast casual environment. So, yeah, you have those conversations casually, but we're not like sitting down and being like, hey, what's going to change on the outside of this right now? You know what I'm saying? You have to look forward as a leader. I do that at night. When I'm by myself, I'm not trying to engage my people in that right now. They got enough on their plate.
Makes sense. I'm also seeing this week as being the money week, to where people are figuring out, well, this is how much money I have left. This is who I owe money to. Do I make that phone call? It's very uncertain. It does get strange, especially amongst friends, the money situation. But this isn't one of those good fellas, F you pay me times right now, to where there needs to be a little bit of leniency as people navigate their own financial situations.
Yeah, you see the best in people and you see the worst in people and stuff like this, and there's not a lot of in between, to be honest with you. So there's some people whose behavior has been pretty outlandish to me, and there's some folks that I think have been so overly generous that it just blows your mind. So at the end of the day, that's just part of the process. You see a lot of. I know Katie tried to donate to GoFundMe and on her Amex card, and they kept kicking her out of GoFundMe and saying, no, you can't donate to your own fund. And that's because there's a ton of fraud that goes on and stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's a crazy, crazy type thing. So, there's all kinds of things that literally, it's easy for us. And this is the one thing that I hope Americans in general take from all this when we sit here in our, beautiful cities and with our beautiful resources and stuff like that. And we judge Venezuela and we judge places in Africa and we judge places in Asia that don't necessarily have all the resources that we have, but on how they handle stuff. You know what, man? There's corruption and shitty people everywhere, and there's great people everywhere. And we are no different, literally no different than anywhere else. The empathy thing is what I hope at the end of this as American citizens, that we are just much stronger and better human beings.
I see as we go to, future-wise, as we go to rebuild, and these are my personal thoughts of just the people that I know and I've come into contact through business and personal exchanges in the industry. But I think the most passionate and giving are really going to thrive, the people who can turn things on a dime. What are your thoughts on that?
You're talking about on the backside of this?
Yeah.
Agility in business is always like a really essential thing. We're especially in this, day and age, technology, things move so fast. Information moves fast. Innovation moves fast. So if you're not agile, and I'm not, I don't know, I'm not a 21-year-old kid. I just, kind of watch, and it seems like, it's what's new is what's most important. And, what's old isn't really that important. And so, I don't think that's going to be any different. I think people are going to want to see new, interesting, cool stuff just like they do now.
Yeah.
Service industry folks, just that sense of servitude that feel out of place if they're not, taking care of somebody.
That's probably the single most common comment that I've heard.
Yeah, don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah, so I'm used to taking care of people, and I don't know what to do with myself.
You go in the bathroom. You go in the bathroom, and they're like, can I help you? Look in the mirror. So, Juan, what do we do with this? Because in any situation, wherever you go, there you are. You're with yourself. There's a lot of downtime with folks right now, a lot of self-reflective time, and especially, service industry people sitting on the bench looking at their next direction and maybe that time to take inventory. I think this is a good time to address some of the health issues that service industry people are susceptible to, drugs and alcohol, isolation, not talking to other folks about that. thoughts of advice maybe to folks that are in that situation?
I mean, my advice would be to business owners to set it up and make sure that you're communicating with your people regularly. I don't know that this is exclusive to the service industry world. I mean, people self-medicate, man. You know, whether you're a lawyer
absolutely.
or a doctor or whatever. I mean, we have a ton of problems in our industry just because we're around alcohol a lot more. It's a little bit more of a party and stuff like that, and drugs and things like that. But we want, if you know of anybody that's self-medicating, step up and say something. It's not cool to let that go right now at all. It never is, but especially now. I think that's a big deal because, this is pretty heavy stuff for some people, and then when you talk about the loneliness component to that, that magnifies it, tenfold. And I want people to be super conscious of that. And, like I said, for us, having constant communication with people, understanding where our people are, how they're doing, it's critical for no other reason but just to make sure they're okay.
Make sure.
Period.
Every day we found it to be important that we call her our spirit guide right now. Dr. Sarah Metz joins us at the end of the broadcast on a daily basis to just talk about mental health. And Dr. Metz is an expert that works closely with first responders and the stress that they've been dealing with. So I think that mental health component, but I think that this is also a great opportunity for people to do that self-care as well right now.
Yeah.
Come back stronger.
It is.
I mean, self-care.
Stress is not helping your immune system, Juan.
No, stress does not help your immune system.
You look stress-free. What are you doing to keep your stress down, Juan?
I continue to work out, and I continue to talk to folks that are a whole hell of a lot smarter than me about things, and use all my resources. I think that's probably the biggest thing. A long time ago, I was told if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong fucking room.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'll tell you one thing right now. It's not a physical room right now, but it's virtual for me, and making sure that I'm using every single resource that I have so that I can make good decisions. Because what stresses me out, if I get stressed, it's because either I don't know, or I made a bad decision that if I had thought about, I wouldn't have done that. So right now I'm. My focus is on trying to make as good of decisions as I can, be very, very, very direct, be very, very forthcoming and honest with everybody, and again, letting people know that they're there, that I'm personally there for them, and I know that goes both ways. I can't even tell you how many kids call and just check on me. So I feel pretty good. I'm kind of built for this stuff. In general, so
you are
nobody's
kind of built for this.
Yeah, nobody's immune to it, but at the same time, like I said, I'm excited for the opportunity to kind of guide us through this.
Yeah, where are you finding bits and pieces of joy right now?
Oh, it's everywhere. I mean, are you kidding me? So I'll tell you a story. So my dad died in June, and he kind of like a Puerto Rican guy, big jolly dude, and he. Instead of doing I never saw my dad go to church or anything like that. My mom, ironically, was a nun. She left the convent to marry my father. And I know.
Doesn't happen much.
In the
Your dad must have been a charming dude.
Considering she didn't speak Spanish and I don't know how much English he was speaking at the time. It's kind of a weird, I don't even want to think about that, okay? So, but anyways, we threw a cookout, and people flew from Colorado and everything like that to support me, and it was great. And we threw it at the house, and that's just, kind of who my dad was. So that's kind of what we thought was a really good reflection of him. But we had to do the same thing in Puerto Rico. And so down in Puerto Rico, we get down there, and I'm like, Ma, what's going on? We're going to get this thing going. And she's like, oh, no, we got to go to church for the church service. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, oh, yeah, your dad went to church. And I'm like, my dad's dead, and I had no idea he ever went to church. How crazy is that, right? So we go down to church, and on the way down, my mother's telling me, your dad loved people, and he loved community, and that's where the community gathered in the area in Puerto Rico that he was from, way up in the hills, super poor area. My dad was born on the side of a mountain. He wasn't born in a hospital or anything like that. So we get there, and we're about 3/4 of the way through, and I start, I'm kind of looking at my mom, and I'm like, man, they were together for 50 years. Crazy. And I'm like, Ma, how you doing? And she goes, I'm okay. She goes, I'm looking up at and again, her being religious, she looks at things a little bit differently
Sure.
than I do, and she's like an oracle in general.
I can't wait to hear her humor. It's
for everybody. But no, it's not a humor thing. It's like she's like, I looked up and she's like, I looked at the altar and I saw the crucifixion. And she goes, I looked to the left and I saw a statue of the baby Jesus. And she said, that is life. There's great balance in life. So I think it's an incredible way of looking at it.
wow.
It's amazing.
It's emotional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. It's an amazing thing, I mean, to be able to just, look at what's horrible that's happening to you right now and then be able to say, hey, you know what? There's a ton of good stuff happening too. And how do you get there? How do you move yourself? And really, it's like an inch to the left. It's right in front of you, It's crazy. Yeah.
And sometimes you just can't see it.
Yep.
And it's so close.
But it's there, and you have to look for it. You can't just expect it to come. You know what I'm saying? You've got to look for it. So,
and everybody's inch to the left is just a little bit different.
That's right.
And you can find it.
But look for it. Don't just think everything's bad. It's not. We're going through life.
There's a lot of insanity going on right now.
Well, if you look at
But-
this with us having to come into more of a shelter type of situation. In Boulder yesterday, there were mountain lions roaming the streets. That hasn't happened in years, that they've been just
That's
out
crazy,
and about.
right?
I mean, so it is, if you look at, you're saying kind of silver lining and
Right.
take a look at the good, there's a lot of beauty that's rehappening and rebuilding. And I think with restaurants and our industry family, people are rebuilding and getting creative. And it also shows you who's really there, and you're not alone in this.
Well,
Yeah.
Thank you for that story.
Yeah, for sure.
That was amazing.
Because that's doing something for me. I want to find my inch to the left.
Yeah, for sure. It's important. And we are seeing some good stuff. I read yesterday that China is, the greenhouse emissions are down 22%. Are you kidding me? In 1 month?
Amazing. I mean,
We are learning. We are learning from these types of
We're going to
situations.
learn stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of stuff to learn, and we have a lot of stuff to learn at the local level. We have a lot of stuff to learn about who we're in business with, our family, our friends, and ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
A lot that you're going to learn about yourself right now.
I want to hear more stories from you. I mean, that was just so beautiful and moving.
Bedtime with Juan.
Yes. Saturday nights.
Can we call you up at, 10:30, 11 o'clock, Juan? We'll just everybody
Sing you a lullaby.
get on a conference call. Interesting times that we're in right now. And again, Juan Padro, I know you've got a hard break here, probably in just the next few minutes here. On to the next thing. As we navigate the new cut road, and we're seeing that it's like hang on. The optimism I'm seeing from folks around, and again that can change. It can change quickly, but continue on with that. I have more faith in humanity right now probably than ever. And that's one of the, silver lining types of things that we're talking about.
Well, you have to. I mean, you're forced into it. Faith isn't just a religious thing. I think it's just, or a spiritual thing. I mean, it's a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So whatever it is for you, whether it's, I'm not somebody that goes to church, but, I'm definitely spiritual. And so, for me, I think that's an important, message to convey to people at all times. I mean, you're going to have to put some trust in some people that maybe you normally wouldn't have. And I think you'll be surprised. I mean, right now we're seeing a nasty thing going on at the federal level right now, people fighting and stuff like that. But they'll get, I have optimism that they will get through it. I called my mother up and I said, Mom, I'm like, I got some bad news. And she's like, what? And she's like, I'm working with this Republican senator on stuff, and I told him that if he can help get this stuff approved, that I'm going to have to come out and support him. But I told him that I'd have to ask your permission first, and which I did. I've been working with Senator Cory Gardner and stuff. And Cory, I didn't really know Cory before all this. I read about Cory. I saw all the stuff on. In the news about Cory, and I see how that, I'm a Dem, so I see,
he's the other side.
He's the other side.
Yeah.
And this dude is killing it. I mean, he's worked his ass off for the restaurant business. And I got to see that, and I'm like, man, I never would have thought. you know? And here I am, and I'm in a situation where I got a guy that like typically people are like, and I've told a few people in the industry, and they're like, "Oh, really?" And I'm like, "Listen, you know, this guy is. I've had, I want to say, 7 phone calls with him in the last 3 days, and emails and texts. And I've talked to his legal counsel. His legal counsel was the CFO of Ruby Tuesday. They got restaurants. I mean, all this kind of amazing stuff is happening, and 2 dudes at the opposite ends of the spectrum politically. Yeah. You know,
the spectrum
going
right
through this stuff, and I was like,
amazing?
"Holy mackerel! Yeah. This is like such a crazy thing, you know, to think about."
It kind of needed, though. It's something you wouldn't have even considered if 3-4 weeks ago.
No.
And again, you know, as we were inundated with politics and debates and division of this country, another silver lining is we emerge as Americans right now.
Well, that's the whole thing, you know. I mean, that's right. You know, I mean, we aren't all that different. You know, I know people like to think we are, and I know that, you know, people have opinions about the guy in the White House and all that type of stuff, and I have some of those too. But, you know, the reality is at the end of the day, we just really aren't that different.
Well, we'll see. Are you sock, shoe, or sock, shoe, shoe?
Sock, shoe.
Just the same. I question the people that are sock, shoe.
Me too.
That feels really weird.
I'm with you guys.
I'm trying to think about that. I'm like, that would be really weird.
Jay here, and usually before I speak, it takes something compelling for me to get on the microphone.
That got you in there?
But this is my 2 cents on it. It's kind of like what Juan just said, you know, where it's like it's hard to imagine a person. If there's a human being that goes sock, shoe, I'd like to have him on the show. I'd like to just talk to him and follow him around for an afternoon and be like, I got to see who you kill and where you put them or what's going on.
I don't know if it's that extreme.
It's got to be.
There.
Does anybody? Do you know anybody that does that?
I guarantee if they exist, they are in the restaurant industry.
That's fair.
For sure.
Yeah, or they're from Florida.
Right.
That's also possible.
Florida has just got an unreal amount of lunatics, and I don't know. Am I the only one that knows that or feels that?
Oh, no. We watched a documentary
Florida's
yesterday, and Andy goes, they must be from Florida.
Yeah,
and he's from Florida.
You can tell we're towards the end of this interview because we're lightening up a little bit, Juan. And I think it's like grab a little bit of laughter whenever you can. You can't just always.
Well, comedy is important, and one of the things that Allison always told me, and she goes, you know, comedians are actually some of the most accurate sources of information. And it's actually, and so it kind of doubles up as therapy and stuff like that. You know, these are really smart people that look at issues and make fun of things.
And it's raw. They don't sugarcoat it.
Yeah, there's no like political, usually no political slant to that. And you tend to get pretty good information. And I had never thought about that, you know. And this is like I said, this is a pretty prolific woman telling me this, and so yeah.
I can't wait to see the world on the other side of this. I really can't.
Yeah. I do want people to go out and you know, because I know a lot of people are always like, how can I help? How can I volunteer? How can I do all that stuff on a macro scale beyond this stuff? I do want people to go out to Third Wave Volunteers, and that's the organization. I sit on the board of that actually, but that's Allison's organization that does incredible work all around the world. Third Wave Volunteers. Yep. And you know, for the last 22 years, this woman's been in refugee camps in Syria and Niger and working in Haiti, and she's the environmental ambassador of the UN for Haiti, and she was TEDx Humanitarian of the Year last year. Wow. And you know, there was a film in Cannes that Sean Penn narrated on her, and so just New York Times, you know, The Third Wave is the book, and you know, pretty amazing woman. And I get to call her a mentor, and I think she's open for more mentees for sure.
Very
Fantastic.
cool.
I'm going to look into that myself.
She's incredible.
Okay, lastly, just I find you to be a very insightful guy, very intuitive, and I look for those types of things. You can't prepare for this, but you can have a little bit of foresight. The hours, the days, the weeks ahead, crystal ball. We're not holding you to this, but what are some things that you think we're going to see here?
Well, you know, here's the thing. You know, week one in a situation like this, there's panic, there's depression, there's just anxiety. You know, there's a feeling of helplessness. Mm-hmm. You know, typically you go into a second week of crisis, and you know, you're kind of it's just more like you're feeling sorry for yourself, and depression like really kind of hits you hard. But in the third week, you know, generally speaking, there's a feeling of acceptance. And I think that you understand it takes a few weeks to kind of sift through all the information and kind of find yourself within the situation. And hopefully we have a lot more credible information that comes out from sources that we don't have any control over, so that we can start getting on with our lives, our new reality. And when you can accept that and you can kind of move forward, I think that to me, that's something that like really eases a lot of stress and anxiety. But it doesn't change the fact that you're still in a shitty situation.
Acceptance.
But at least you know what the heck it is.
Yeah.
And so, so I think over the next couple weeks, we're going to start to see some of that stuff. I think you're going to be really inspired by people. I think you're going to see really cool innovation. And keep an eye out, man. There's people that you would not even believe that are going to step up in ways that you would have no idea. And I think that stuff is really cool. I think you're going to be really surprised at some people that you held in the highest regard that handled the situation pretty shitty. So I think that's on the negative side. You'll see some stuff.
Water's
like that.
finding its own level.
Yeah. And I think we're going to have a whole new set of leadership coming out of this. I mentioned Katie before, Katie Laser. I think she's incredible. So.
I cannot wait for the other side because I just want to go and have a beer at Highland. I want to go have I want to go have a pizza at Bardo. These are just all places that this is our community.
You're going to appreciate,
for sure.
And I'm going to tell you something. People are going to be a lot nicer to each other too.
Oh, I guarantee that.
I think we're moving at, when I think about it, right, and we're moving at such light speed right now in society. Think about it. Think about our stock market. Think about like our restaurant industry. If you want to just think about that, think about how fast that's grown in the last decade. Like unsustainable, right? I mean, the amount of like pressure and stress and anxiety that has caused, and just the ability to take a step back and really like get back to like what's important and who's important and having good conversations. And, picking up the phone and calling somebody instead of just texting them for 6 straight months and you don't hear their voice and stuff like that. So, there's a ton of positive stuff that can come from this, but I cannot emphasize enough, you got to do shit. You got to be part of the solution. Yeah. You got to you don't, just because you don't think that you can help because you don't know how to, that's bullshit.
There's so many places to help.
I almost told everybody to go give somebody a hug, but you can't do that right now.
We've been giving virtual
hugs, the air hugs. We have a regular that started this thing, and I'll get you guys the information because you should promote it. But it's a virtual happy hour, and he's a dude that just comes into the bar and he's like, "Hey, man, I want to help, and I'm going to hire a DJ, and we're going to do it through Zoom information, and we're going to get." And his first one, I think, he charges $5, and you go in and everybody has a drink, and he's got a DJ playing on Zoom, and all the money goes to the restaurant industry. Like, stuff like that is killer.
Absolutely.
We're seeing a lot of that, though.
Concerts
I'm
online.
seeing concerts online, because everybody's affected by this, right?
Oh, everybody's bored.
So the creativity.
What do I do at night? I'm alone.
Greg, I'm well aware because your posts are till at least midnight. Drop me the gift. How you feel?
I'm trying to, I'm trying to live.
Hey, you have to, right? I mean, it's your outlet. It's your way to touch people without actually putting
lean and mean. We're getting lean and mean right
now. And I
Juan.
think, speaking of lean, this is the time for people to lean in, to step up, to make a difference, to say, what can I do? If you don't know what to do, there's plenty of people who can give you an outreach to an organization that will help.
You'd be surprised, though. You have it within you to, naturally as a human being, like literally, I think that you'll see that just your interaction with people is going to be uplifting. You know what I'm saying? So I think like focusing on yourself and taking care of yourself, we talked about that a little bit earlier, making sure that, that you're healthy and you're not causing extra worry for somebody else. I think like that's a huge thing. And just being the best version of yourself, because the best version of yourself is a gift to the world.
That's beautiful.
What does it say on your Facebook, Juan, about don't cover up your imperfections? That's what makes you sexy.
Oh no. So that's actually you should quote that.
Was that pretty close?
It says, "Be brave enough to suck at something new." Yeah. So yeah, man. I mean, that's
You got to get.
I kind of like yours better.
Do you really?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty good. Do you remember it? But yeah, I mean, look, I mean, this is all new stuff, and nobody's really any good at it right now because it's uncharted territory, and just I think for us in our organization, we talk about the type of people that are going to be successful and be leaders in our organization have three characteristics, and they have intellectual curiosity, they have emotional intelligence, and they have empathy. And, to me, the empathy and the emotional intelligence piece of that right now is like such a huge thing. It's cool if you're reading cocktail books and food books and stuff like that, but I'm not going to hold you to that. But, the other stuff is like really, really, really important. And you want to de-stress, treat people well. Yeah.
Last one for you.
Yeah.
True or false? Restaurants first to get hit, first to come back and flourish.
I think true.
I know. It's going to be great when the doors open again and you get to rush to your favorite place that you just love so much. And people it's going to be like everybody was in prison for.
Well, you talked about it earlier. At the end of the day, we don't know what to do because, we're used to taking care of people. And whether it's 100 people at your door or one, it's the same thing. You get to take care of people.
I can't wait to get after it again. And people are getting after it right now.
Well, we say serving those who serve others. That's kind of our motto at Hot Schedules and Fourth is serving those who serve others, who want to take care of people. And that's what we do.
Are you the person that just sold my entire organization on Hot Schedules?
I am not, because I actually sell payroll, so I have not sold you anything.
She'll be back.
Why are we changing? Good salesperson.
Actually, you may want to coming up because of pseudo rates, and we can talk about that later. But
that's another thing about just opening up resources that you have, Juan. It's like your resources are probably more vast than others.
Yeah.
And that's why. And listen, thank you so much for joining us today. This is the time where leaders step up and speak, even when you don't want to.
Right.
And we've got a week ahead, and as we're trying to quadruple our efforts. I mean, listen, we're a Saturday show from 6 to 8 p.m. We're going wall to wall every single day.
Yeah. I think you got two great guys coming tomorrow. You got Justin and you got Alex Seidel tomorrow, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
That'll be great. And those guys are leaders in the community and have their and I'm sure you can get some laughs out of that one.
Oh, yeah.
So just keep putting smiles on people's faces and
help me with
we'll
Alex.
Get through it.
What should we ask Alex?
I mean, Alex is an interesting guy. I mean, he's obviously a genius, and I'm not, so it's hard for me to answer that question. But I think Alex knows he's got a ton of resources, and so does Justin, about food and about how to utilize what's around you. I think, and I think Justin utilizes comedy pretty well. I think I would go there, and I think Alex, from what I can see from the outside, and I know Alex, decently well,
Sure.
And the way he treats his people, you can learn, and I think I would talk a lot about that and the importance of being innovative. This is a guy that's got a farm, he's got a restaurant, he goes around the country and he has some perspective on different areas and what food and community means in those areas. He's from the Midwest, but he's like, he's a really interesting guy, and I got a ton of respect for him and Justin. So
talented.
Yep.
Talent is all hell. What's next for you today? Where are you off to? Meeting.
Yep. So I looked at my phone yesterday, and I've been averaging 14 and a half hours a day on my phone for 7 straight days.
Wow.
And I've been between 14 hours and 23 minutes and 14 hours and 29 minutes every single one of those days. So it's been super busy for me.
Holy cow.
It was. Today was a little different. I didn't have as many because I think we're all kind of like on pins and needles waiting to see if these guys can get this stuff done in Congress. But I expect to be communicating with my staff and talking to as many of them as I can every day and just being grateful, and that's it, man.
How are you on apparel, just as an aside? Do you have a lot of apparel for the restaurants? Because we're trying to put together something with Lever's Locavore they can't do inside seating anymore, so we're thinking about putting some apparel racks so that we can get a bunch of restaurants apparel in there. You can go in, why not buy a hat for $100, type of thing. Do you have any apparel? wrong guy to ask.
We stink at that. You know,
Out of barrel?
we're good at a bunch of stuff, and we're awful at merch. And so we have. I think we have some stuff at Bardo. I think we have some stuff at Tap.
We're going to take it off your hands.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to wear stuff that I've picked up,
That's
that
a
I've
good way to
purchased
support.
on the show to just, showcase different brands that are local to support. And, my biggest thing was, are you selling it? We're not looking to have this. We want to help your business.
Yeah, no, I
Any dollar
appreciate it.
counts.
I think the gift card thing is a cool thing. Like I said, we have our fun stuff going on, but I think one of the things we're going to launch here is that we're going to start launching chef dinners at people's homes, and they're going to be auctions. I know you guys know that
Max is going to be
Max, Blake, Carrie
Make
Baird,
sure I
like
know
all
that.
these people. So yeah, all these guys will do that, and they're incredible. So they'll do a lot of really interesting stuff, and we've got great somms, and we've got great cocktail creators, and so I think we'll that's what we're going after, and I would just trying to engage these restaurant groups, see what they're doing. I really want to emphasize not forgetting the little guys, and you're close to 6th and Federal here, and there's a bunch of small restaurants down the road and stuff like that, and everybody it would be cool if they ordered food from those guys too and checked in and made sure that those are tiny restaurants run by typically like by family. You go to like a Lao Wang or something like that. That's 2 elderly folks, and it's not just the cool chefs. It's a whole vast community that are, I've been going to Mango House a lot, and up on Colfax, the refugee center. Mark Antonesian turned me on to that, and I can't stop eating at this.
Damn it, you just brought up one last one for you. But about a week ago, someone came into the studio and said, I think we're showing that we had too many restaurants, 6,000, I think, in the metro area, and that number is going to change dramatically. Would you even want to touch that one? The saturation of restaurants.
That's not,
That's why I said too soon at that point. But it sparked that kind of, you think 6,000 will emerge on the other side of this, or probably?
No. But, more are going to come.
Yeah.
Some different services are going to come. So,
And some people are going to say, I don't even want anything to do with this business anymore. It's a tough business, right?
I don't.
Other people are saying, is this the death of fine dining?
We've been talking about that for a decade, brother,
And others are saying,
in many ways, fine dining is, but, it actually could be, if I would say for fine dining, if anything, it might be the rebirth of it. People might be craving just sit down and getting taken care of. Mm-hmm. I could see that as being a thing, and I'm just thinking about that out loud right now. Yeah. But fine dining's been under assault for a long time.
Other people are saying that this is stepping up the game of a low game that restaurants had with takeout and delivery.
I think we know that that's part of the future, and there's some resistors there, and there's some change there, and I don't know. I'm sure that, restaurants, if that becomes a much bigger portion of our business, we're going to need to figure that out because it's not so profitable. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Juan, things are going to, again, it's fluid, hours, weeks. We're going to be doing this, man. You'll peek back with us, right?
Whatever you need, man. I'm around.
I love it, man.
All right, brother.
Thanks for your time
today. We so
today.
appreciate your time.
Yep,
and
anytime.
having you on.
All right,
inspiration.
Thank you. Sorry it's taken me so long to get here.
Oh, man, you're fine.
All right, be good, guys.
We'll do virtual hug.
Yeah,
all right.
That's right.
See you later.
Juan Padro. Wow, that was a great interview.
That was amazing.
So fun and powerful. And those are the types of things as we bring you this information on a daily basis on the Modern Eater stream. Thank you, sir. We'll see Juan Padro soon. So as we continue right here, Jay, time for you to hop on the microphone. We were just into that. So what's coming up on the show? Do we have anything else going there?
Yeah, I have to fire up this. God, my brain is just fried. I have to fire up this link. I'm trying to get Sandy Harrison from Whistling Hare, who I don't even know everything that's going on, but he has some charity things that they're doing. He just has new information, of something that we haven't
Brian
talked
Nagley's
about.
Going to join us here.
Nagley,
right?
He's calling me right now.
And how about the doctor? I need the doctor today.
The doctor, she says she should be good for 4:30. She's going through stuff, whatever that means. So
wait, she's
yes, with the possibility of no.
Well, I do have something I'd actually like to share. So a good friend of mine who is in the mental health arena has offered to be a resource for people as well. So please private message me. I don't want to.
Who's the friend?
Well, her name's Michelle.
Okay.
She
a doctor.
She, I have to get a little bit more information from her on it. But I asked her today. She posted if people need to reach out and need to talk. I asked her if she would be a resource for us. She said absolutely.
But it's not just somebody bored at home who just wants to
No.
right?
She actually, I believe she's a counselor at Fairview High School,
wow.
if I'm correct. So, we do, the point of this is we do have resources and we
need
speak
them
about mental health. So if you are a mental health professional who would be willing to take time, if we need to have somebody reach out to you, please let us know. Rebecca.berry@forth.com. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, all of the avenues. But we want to make sure you're taking care of yourselves. I think as, Juan Padro was saying that during this time, this is where kind of that lull hits, right? Like we're in shock week 1. We're in that kind of depression week 2. We're angry week 3. And then we just start recreating at week 3 to 4. So reach out to us for resources. We got you covered.
That all you got?
Well,
okay, guys.
What else do you have?
I got a ton. All right, thanks for joining us. I want your reaction to the Juan Padro interview. That's what I'd really like to have right now. What did you think of that interview? Here's the deal. You're probably tuned into various Facebook pages around the city. What you need to do if you want to comment to us directly, I know you want to talk to Rebecca, drop us a line, but you have to go to the Modern Eater Facebook page. Just as an aside, we wouldn't mind if you liked the page when you're there and set up notifications to when we do stream live. But jump into our live stream today, and that's where the conversation is happening. What did you think about Juan Padro's interview? What did you hear there? And what may have been missing? And again, we'll take criticism and we'll take feedback, and also from a programming standpoint, what would you like to hear? What would you like to hear on the show? Again, as we continue, we have a lot of programming to cover. It's just Monday. Rebecca, feeling fresh?
I'm feeling fresh. Yeah. I had a little time, and now I'm ready to go.
I do miss Andy.
I know. Andy, I know you're watching.
The
Wonder Boyfriend has been bringing us all the goods and taking care of all the things. So he's back with his kids this week, but we'll get Andy back on the show next week. But yeah, anything you guys that you feel you need to talk about, you want to hear, guests you may want to see.
Or just
vent to us. I'm really good at that.
Sound off and vent. Okay, so we have the doctor. Dr. Sarah Metz is going to join us at 4:30, and we need that because she gives us great advice of just how to. It's a day to day. Like, how do we get through today? Let's not worry about
today. Was a little overwhelming. I'm not going to lie. Like, personally, when I woke up, I wanted this whole thing to be over, and just thinking that we're going to go back to our normal day to day. I started my day with a 7 a.m. conference call, and then it was okay.
Hey, sorry. So because of the thing with the computer, I don't have time to move it over there. So Sandy Harrison, can you hear me, Sandy?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you just fine.
Thanks.
So
awesome.
You're stuck staring at me. Normally you'd be looking at Greg and Rebecca, but you can't see them, and it's just, don't worry about why.
I actually have you guys pulled up on Facebook, so I can see all three of you.
Oh, perfect. Thanks, Sandy.
Okay. Well, let me do my due diligence of getting your face on our screen so that Greg can see what you look like. All right, Greg. Just so you know, because you can't see the computer, and I'll see if I can't get the computer in front of Greg. But we have Sandy Harrison from Whistling Hare Distillery via the internet to talk about. Do me a favor. Sandy, and turn the volume all the way down on your computer or something. I'm hearing our show somewhere, unless it's from one of us.
Turn your phone off, caller. Turn your radio down.
I've got my laptop on mute here.
You sound good on this,
all right,
Sandy. Hey,
okay,
Sandy,
cool.
Greg and Rebecca here, man. How are you holding up?
I'm holding up. Some days a little bit better than others, but I think that's kind of par for the course right now. Sorry, getting my wire out of the way here. I'm holding up okay. The business is holding up okay. Trying to keep everyone, keep in touch with everyone, make sure all my friends in the industry and outside of the industry are doing okay too.
Yeah, kind of sounds like the rest of us. So just it's normal, right? Cool.
Yeah, I guess this is the new normal now.
It really is.
It is. We keep referring to it as that.
So Sandy here with us from Whistling Hare. And Sandy, Jay got you on the line here, said you got some things you wanted to get out there. Where do you want to begin, Sandy?
So I guess I wanted to start talking about a little bit of what we're doing up at the distillery, how we're surviving. I've got another charity option for folks too. That's a little bit separate from that too. But I guess I'll just start with kind of what we're doing up at Whistling Hare. For those of you that don't know us, we're a really small batch craft distillery based out of Westminster. So we're a small batch craft distillery based out of Westminster. We're making bourbon, we're making rums, we're making vodkas. Of course, this has hit us pretty hard because we can't sell anything. We have a craft cocktail room that we have a number of locals and regulars and people that we've been trying to build a business with that we've done pretty successfully now for a couple of years, and that's all shut down. We are selling bottles out of our tasting room just by hand, sanitizing everything that anyone touches whenever anyone gets in, so everyone feels nice and safe. Unfortunately, we're exempt from being able to sell cocktails to go, like through Grubhub or DoorDash or whatever. As much as I would really like to do that, we're not able to do it right now. But we are selling bottles, which is always pretty cool. We're able to get our stuff out there. And for now, liquor stores are open. Although, as I was watching you guys and waiting to come on, I learned that Denver will be closing liquor stores as of 5 o'clock tomorrow. So revenue streams, that's always fun.
Okay. Can you hear me, Jay? I can't hear myself in there. Can you hear me, Sandy?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Oh, fantastic. You're right. Are you in Denver proper?
I am not, and the business is in Westminster, but we sure do distribute to Denver a whole lot.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if in Denver, when Mayor Hancock announced just today, I think at about 2:20,
right around there.
Yeah.
Recreation pot shops and liquor stores are to close from 5 p.m. tomorrow until April 10th. I would assume that distilleries would fall underneath that as well.
I'm not sure. I haven't had a chance to read the literature myself, as this is pretty much as close as you get to breaking news. So I've got to go and review that when I get off here and see if we're still going to be able to sell bottles or what we're going to be able to do.
That's a touchy line. And Sandy, I'm sure that you feel that way too, because you've got restaurants who are able to continue to sell liquor and to sell wine now and just everything, not continue, I should say, it just started. But you're looking at, well, we're a business that's not necessarily a liquor store, but shouldn't we be covered under the tavern laws, right? I mean, it's a little confusing.
I honestly have been a little bit confused. So, full disclosure, I'm an East Coast transplant. So I haven't quite wrapped my head around the law of having to sell food with beverage. I understand why, but it's just not everywhere. So it's just kind of been something I've had to get used to out here. It just seems a little counterintuitive to me that you're forcing people to stay home, and making people order stuff in and be able to order drinks in, but to correlate with the current liquor laws, you're forcing them to also buy food when these folks aren't going anywhere. They're under self-quarantine in their own homes. So it seems a little goofy. What's the worst that happens? You pass out on the couch instead of the bed, and it's not like people are going to be driving, but that's just me as well. So, but that's kind of, from a distillery standpoint, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Sandy, what do you want to leave our audience with here today?
So I just want to go over a couple of things, the fun things that we're doing, and try to make this a little bit light in this difficult time. One of the cool things that we're doing, and I heard Juan talking about it as well, is we're doing a virtual happy hour as well. We're actually calling it the virtual cocktail classy hour, because we're going to be doing a cocktail class. So not only can you see all the regulars from the bar and everything, but learn some cocktails from myself, our sales rep, and I think one of our bartenders is going to be on that as well. So we're doing that this Saturday at 4:00. Very cool. And you can just check out our Facebook. It's facebook.com/whistlinghair and sign up for it. We're just doing it over Skype. I've been looking at Zoom too, but we're just going to be doing it over Skype for now. And hopefully this will just be the first in a series. We're going to be doing whiskey sours and daiquiris, and kind of talking about the history and origin of those drinks. And hopefully just kind of get everyone's mind off of this and keep things kind of positive. One of the other things we're doing, again, if we're still allowed to, is while we're selling bottles at the distillery, we're actually next door to Westminster Brewing Company as well. So we've partnered with them, and we're bringing in food trucks a couple of days a week and trying to get them some business as well. We had our friends El Jefes out there on Wednesday. We had Arroyo out there yesterday. And people can place orders through Grubhub and Truckster, I believe. And get some food to them that way, and it's still to go, and you can pick up a bottle or a 6-pack or whatever on your way through there too. We're doing a little bit to just try to support the community around us, and get people kind of through the door. And then I got one last thing too, if you still got time for me.
Lay it on us.
Cool. Full disclosure, my sister-in-law here is running a charity. She's the chairman of the board of a charity called Another Round, Another Rally. I don't know if you guys have heard of this yet. So this was supposed to launch today for Bartenders Weekend, and they wound up launching it, I think, about a week and a half ago. What they're doing is raising funds. It's for bar and hospitality staff by bar and hospitality staff, and they're trying to raise funds and establish $500 grants for individuals that are really in need. What they're focusing on this week is making sure our friends that are undocumented in the industry have access to this. They're setting up a Spanish-speaking phone line so people can get registered for this and get some money coming in their way. It is a 501c3. It is tax free. GoFundMe is a 1099. So if you raise over $600 on it, you can actually get taxed pretty hard, which is why I'm kind of encouraging this other route a little bit. But of course, anything helps. It's really, really cool. It's for bar staff, for hospitality staff, by hospitality staff. I'm still learning a little bit about it myself. But they're basically trying to raise as much money as possible and dole it out in $500 increments to the people that need it most. And you can get signed up to either donate or to receive funds on their website, which is anotherrally.org.
Another round, another. Do it again.
Another round, another rally.org. Yep.
Writing it down right now.
Yep, I've gotcha.
Sure.
Perfect. Sandy, we'll check back in with you and things again, as we're navigating all these changes and
minute by minute.
I know Hancock ordered today residents to stay home, a city ordinance. I don't know how that's going to affect restaurants and curbside and delivery, but being named essential in times of crisis are restaurants. I'm not sure how distilleries fall under that. So if you wouldn't
about to find out.
Yeah, we'll check back with you, Sandy. Sandy Harrison, Whistling Hare Distillery.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, absolutely.
Thanks, Sandy.
Cool.
Great chatting with you.
Good chatting with you. So Ryan Negley just walked in. I think he's doing the due diligence of washing his hands.
And sanitizing.
He'll join us here in studio. The Modern Eater Show continues on this Monday, March 23rd. It is day 8 right now since it was passed down from the mayor last Monday and the governor saying, that's it, we're shutting down the dining rooms of restaurants and bars everywhere as everybody took that pivot point and started to change their businesses as they knew it. Interesting times that we're living in right now, but I don't think that there's much time to be able to drag our feet. We're just going at it full force. Feedback on the Modern Eater stream. Hollis Casey says, thanks, the Modern Eater. Great message from Juan. Stay safe, everyone. We will, Hollis. Thanks. Fantastic. Dave Avery says, Denver, only food sellers stay open. Booze only closes. So that should be interesting there. What else do we have on this stream here? Yeah, Jay. So my voice is coming through a little bit there, but just a little bit more. Turn that up. It'd be fantastic. And Ryan is going to jump on a headset right in front of you there. Ryan Negley.
Hey,
all
Ryan.
Trimmed up. I know you didn't get a haircut, man. That must have happened a little while ago.
Coming in hot over here.
Good to see you, brother. How are you?
Pleasure to be here, man. How are y'all faring right now?
Hey, we're all in together, right?
We're here for you. I mean, we're here.
Exactly. We're all here for each other. I think that's the most important part.
Yeah.
Is I honestly haven't been listening to what I've been driving on the way down here, so I get really excited watching my social media feeds and kind of seeing what everyone's doing to possibly do whatever they possibly can do to all come together. And as desperate as this all is right now, especially for our respective industries, there's a lot of good people doing a lot of good things. So thank you guys for broadcasting about it. We appreciate that.
That's what this is what we've trained for, boys, right? Times of need like that. So here it is. You're right. Chiefs, the things that are going on right now, but you're into a few initiatives as well right now, and also working with Kevin Gallivan on a project as well.
My boy KG. Me and him have been texting a lot. I've got 3 more from him right now. Yeah, if you are in the industry, if you are just, you've got this weight over you and you know that the future is going to be bleak. I've been having some wonderful conversations with a lot of friends in the industry, and it's amazing that the pride is gone in an industry that is full of bartenders and chefs and managers and concierges and all of these people that have these relatively big egos within their industry. Oh man, that's done now, because everybody realizes we're in this same boat and it's a level playing field. And
interesting.
Pride is an absolute subset. So yeah.
Other night, 11:30 at night, I get a phone call from Brother Luck.
Yeah,
in Colorado Springs. He's been relatively quiet, and really, I think a lot of people have just like, well, what do I say right now? I mean, we're all saying the same things. But Brother said to me, you know what, Greg, it was a trip. He's like, I'm in. First of all employees furloughed for Brother, and he said, I just did a $2,500 dinner tonight alone, absolutely alone. And it reminds me of the days when my headset sounds perfect right now, Jay. It reminds me of the days where I didn't have anything, and I'm actually in the same exact kitchen. I think where he said he started 10 years ago, doing the things that I'm doing today, which was, last Friday when I spoke to him. And so back to square one. The playing field is even at this point in time, and it's a trip with these folks. It's like he said, I don't know, I forgot how to unplug a sink.
Right.
I forgot how to, and I'm faced with doing these things over again. So it's almost like that. Let's start over.
Yeah. So me and Kevin, we've been talking a lot about those very same things, and the first thing, if you've ever worked really any restaurant, but of course, certainly the fine dining restaurants and the restaurants that only have an evening service, so you're used to the family meal idea, and and it's a time where, again, everyone's even. There's a level playing field, and it might be the dishwasher that's cooking, it might be the bar back, it might be the owner that's making family meal for everybody, and it happens before service when you're talking about what's going to be going on throughout the evening. And this last Monday, I was just like, let's just put out a family meal. Like, how hard is that? Like, I've always had a daydream of even just like having friends over at my house that are in the industry and just feeding people, because that's the joy of working in this world, is
right.
Entertaining, like feeding, we like eating and with our friends. And so I knew Kevin, and God bless Kevin Galaba. He's just out there making a difference in our industry, and I knew this is something that he was already probably thinking about, long before we all really had to start thinking about it. And I put that out there, and then Marika Vander, who she's the GM of Zeppelin Station, and she immediately popped up, and they've got 5, 6, 7 concepts just within that building, and they said, how do we help? We're essentially done as far as this whole thing goes, but we've got all these concepts and a commissary kitchen, which is huge in the whole licensing aspect of everything. And immediately got on the horn, got a hold of some immediate corporate sponsors who can throw in $500 here, $1,000 here, $2,000 here, and put it together that, literally starting tomorrow at noon, we're going to be able to serve up to 150 meals for anybody that just woke up this last Monday and woke up without a job.
Is that kind of the criteria?
Yeah, pretty much. Friends and family. It's the friends and family meal. So Kevin's whole deal is he runs friends and family via the Facebook and other social medias and all that kind of stuff. But we're in a time right now where it doesn't matter. Like, please go out there, go to friends and family on Facebook and, find some information. But man, if you've got ears right now and this happens to be falling on them, and you can find yourself hungry tomorrow, and maybe just you don't want to go spend that usual, $15 or $20 that we might have usually spent on lunch right now, that means everything right now. We've got a number, a telephone number that we're asking everyone to text. And that number is not in my phone right now. I'll find out before we get done talking. But basically, we're going to have this one number. It's going to send your information. It's going to ask you to leave your name, your email, your phone number. Basically, give you a ticket, really, a sense of RSVP.
A seat at the table.
Right, exactly, to come down. And every Tuesday and Thursday for right now, from noon to 2, that's when we're going to be serving. But within Zeppelin Station, there's those various concepts, and each day one of those will be the sponsor concept that will be essentially working at the bare bones of costs, as well as we've got a corporate sponsor on the back end, just for fun this week. So Tuesday and Thursday are both going to be sponsored by Brown Forman, which are going to be the owners of Jack Daniels and Woodford Reserve and those kind of companies. So they've already chipped in their lots and lots of dollars. And
good.
So
these are times like that when companies like that should chip in.
Well, you know what? I'll give you the brass tacks of it. Without bars and restaurants, we don't have a voice for all of our brands to really speak. Yeah. That would just be asking for blind advertising out there in the one-dimensional world. without this whole aspect of our lives, we don't have a way to speak as brands. Every bartender, server, barback, chef that we get to talk to, anybody that's in the industry that we get to go to into their homes and their places of business and present to groups of people and preach about what we do, that's gone. You know, and in a real kind of not fun way to say it, our marketing worlds are gone.
Yeah.
Changing.
In this world right now, they are on hold. And we've all got budgets to spend that would be otherwise spent in there just spending money on, you know, superfluous things to get our brands out. Now is a fantastic time to use all of those funds to go spend and help those people out in whatever way. And obviously, the Colorado Bartenders Guild and the U.S. Bartenders Guild and Avanti and that whole project, Chow and Eat, you know, everyone's doing whatever they can right now in their respective worlds. It just so happens that, you know, Kevin Galaba and the Friends and Family and Zeppelin Station and Denver Whiskey Club, you know, we got together and we said, well, let's put together a family meal. And so tomorrow at noon, we get to serve our first handful of meals. And for the time being, you know, we'll see. We're going to do everything we can, but, you know.
That's incredible, though.
That's just the
community.
Hey, Rebecca, you keep hand sanitizing your hands like every
Well, because
7
I'm
minutes.
so aware. Every time I touch my face
you haven't
now, I'm
moved.
having I know, but I've like touched my face and I'm having a neurosis about it.
We're gonna count how many times you don't
People
even move and sanitize your
like,
hands.
it's in my head now because if I have like a little scratch that I'm like, oh God.
I'm like, how many times can this girl sanitize
neurotic.
her hands over there?
Everybody's in my head.
Oh, sanitizer issue.
Yes, sir.
Distilleries.
That was my segue.
I know. My goodness gracious. Because I feel it coming already. Like it's just every angle there's somebody asking about sanitizer because we distill spirits. It's not as easy as that, of course. You know, if it was, it'd just be out there right now and it wouldn't be a problem. On behalf of Boulder Spirits, it's really tough because we actually still on a pot still, so it's that actual distillation doesn't get high enough to make pure alcohol to sanitize. However, truth be told, we don't make our vodka; we buy grain spirit for it. So we do have a bunch of actual 93% pure grain alcohol that could be turned into that. It's all the other ingredients, the base ingredients. Finding that right now because everybody jumped on board. But again, a good problem to have. It's still a very massive problem to have, but a good problem to have that everybody jumped on board. So if you're one of these 2,000 distilleries in the United States that, you know, if you've got the capacity to do it and you reached out to your suppliers and you figured out like, let's get this stuff in, well, it's just like everyone going to the grocery store at the same time. Mm-hmm. We're all trying to produce something for the greater good in our certain scenario, but it's trying to find, according to the World Health Organization, the proper, you know, hydrogen peroxide and alcohol, you know, the recipe to make it according to WHO guidelines.
Well, with this,
we're all fighting for the same ingredients, you know, because we all have the base spirit. It's a matter of
Ryan, just give me a few bottles of whiskey. I promise I'll use it for sanitation, man. Promise.
I promise, sir. This is not a high enough
I
proof.
could never. That's not a high enough proof.
According
Don't waste the good stuff.
Lines out the door at many Denver liquor stores right now as people jockey for position to get their stocked up on pot and liquor.
Yep,
right
I
now.
also saw people waiting in line for pot with social distancing. Some say they're closing the stores tonight.
It's tomorrow at 5, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've. Oh man. I mean, luckily I'm stocked up on spirits for days because that's my livelihood. It's a second though. Shit.
Yeah, I
know. Let's get honest here.
Let's get down to business here. What else? I mean, you know, first of all, thanks for just taking the time and stopping in. And the Modern Eater Show, we're just trying to be that voice in the night right now. What else do you want to cover, Ryan?
Oh man, I just hope everyone's doing as best they can. I hope everyone is heeding. We can't retouch each other, so we're practicing.
Well, I've been sanitizing enough.
Yeah,
Greg should be fine.
Enough for both of us.
But it's serious, man. It's a thing that I want to, if I've got a platform out there, and if this counts as a platform right now, Todd, go home.
Yeah.
Like, get out of here. Let's, flatten the curve or, whatever. Like, just, we're seeing things happen in other modern societies around the world. We should probably heed the advice of that. Luckily I live literally a 3-minute drive from here. So I'm going to get in my car, which I actually have to go Lysol today.
You're going to the pawn shop across the street, man.
Dude, no, I'm going to wait till 10:30.
They're open that late. All right.
But yeah, me and Lauren, we're chilling.
Hunkered down. Yeah.
Luckily, on a personal note, our son gets to be hanging out with grandma for another week way down in like La Vida, Colorado, 50 miles north of New Mexico. So
he's living La Vida Loca.
Yeah.
He is.
And
he
La
is.
Quarantina.
Yeah.
Well, and
very
really,
nice. I like that.
I'm liking how people are. I'm liking the responsibility that I'm seeing. There's very few people, and those idiots are getting called out.
My job is literally driving around the city all the time. So my job, I came down from Boulder because we had a meeting at the distillery, and we listened to the governor's code about, all right, cut the staff in half. That's great. We employ 4 people anyway, so I get to work from home. Yay. The town's dead, and that's a beautiful thing to see. Like, Denver, I feel like is listening. I feel like the majority is listening.
Wash Park was the issue. I mean, because we've been walking. I live on the west side of Wash Park, so not far from here either. And we take our walks through the Capitol area and up through the neighborhoods. And even driving by, and friends that commented as they were going by that the parks are packed, playing volleyball, picnics. It's like volleyball. Right. You're all touching that same thing, and there's 20 of you right there. So I think that's a piece too of why it's like, there's some of us listening and some of us not listening as well. So we need to put our listening ears on so we can all have recess again.
Yeah, you know what? I want to go back out to eat.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I'm freaking out already. Like, we cook at home a bunch as we have a kid, so we're at home all the time. But man, I miss it already. And if we don't start listening, like, it's going to be a gone part of our society for a long time.
I'm seeing this. I can't confirm this, but I'm seeing Restaurant Depot is open to the public.
Get out. I hope so.
Well, aren't they all open to the public?
No. Well, yeah, membership.
Well, yeah, membership.
You'd have a license, a food vendor's license or whatever.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
On that side note, my bud Brandon Camp, he put up one of the other smaller distributors opened up all their stuff to the public. Throwing out 40 pounds of chicken breast.
I talked to him, and he
popped in here actually.
Oh, Brandon did. Oh,
well,
good.
I talked to him this morning on the phone,
Perfect.
And I said, "Hey, man, can I promote you?" He said, "Listen, we're doing exactly what you said, having some proteins available." And, he says, "We're running out, and you know what? There's a surge right now on protein. I don't know if we're going to be able to get any more."
Yeah.
So. Just keep up, we're going to keep you updated. I would like to check in with what you looking at. Oh, you need that? Yeah, you got the get some juice. I would like to check in with Levers Locavore and see if are we going to do that today, Jay, to talk to Mr. Franklin, or
probably not.
Okay, what do we have lined up?
The doctor at 4:30.
Oh, sweet. Doctor's coming in. Mental health right now.
Big.
People.
As we enjoy this, we've got to be smart about it, though, and especially, now, I mean, I guess since everything's going to be closed, you got to go to your restaurants for stuff, but be smart in how you're taking care of yourself, and don't get too lost in your own mind. Wherever you go, there you are, right, Greg?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, our trade is being social.
Right.
Like, this is what we do. This is where we all
we're in this.
All of us nerds and outlandish people that were all cast out early in our lives, we all found ourselves in the service industry, and this is our home because we get to, be these social people and these social butterflies. And God damn it, quit hosting parties at your houses, people. Like, stop doing it. Like, we got to
address this so we can get back to normal, just
exactly.
like you want
there. Like 2 weeks is not a big deal.
Do virtual happy hours. We did one on Friday with our friends from out of state too, which made it even more fun.
Right. I've been very excited as a computer savvy person to see, all of the screenshots of, 9, 15, 30 faces on a screen, everyone having a good time. Like, make the most out of it. For me, I'm always putting off reading. Always. I know it's a boring ass thing to bring up, but like,
read. I thought everything was audiobook.
Like, I don't understand if it doesn't happen in a swipe. Like, that's what I'm putting things
what
down.
What are you reading, Nagley? What are you reading right now?
It's all whiskey stuff.
Is it really?
Always.
Good.
Oh, I've been on a malt kick. I've been on a quick shout out to Root Shoot Malting up in Berthoud, Colorado. Beautiful malting facility, supplies a lot of breweries and distilleries that aren't cooking beer and whiskey right now. So, further down the chain line, this is now hurting agriculture as a direct impact with the brewing and just everybody. It's massive. But yeah, I've been reading a lot about the biochemistry of the malting process.
Why aren't you writing a book, man?
I like reading books.
I know you have so much to offer.
Oh, all I am is a good back cover picture and a bunch of fluff on the inside. That's all I'm good.
You are a good picture cover on a book.
What do you guys been doing?
This.
I understand. Yeah. I see it a day on the internet. But it's saying, like, go home. You do go home. What do you do?
And then get ready. Get ready. And here's the deal. What we want is folks like you. We just want to get the stories out. Yeah. So it's, this is a filament or an aggregate of just all the great folks in our community. The less that Rebecca and I talk and the more that you guys do, we're just directed traffic is all we're doing right now.
Yeah, I like that. A little flight simulator guy over here. That's all the information on the very first meal that we get to give away tomorrow for a friends and family meal at Zeppelin Station.
So
there's a number on that. What is the number, please?
So if you want to go ahead and text for the friends and family meal, it is 720-446-8731. Your confirmation will be sent at the end of the day for the dinner. Again, it's at Zeppelin Station. So just make sure, again, 720-446-8731. Shoot those guys a text.
So every as of right now, as of today, we literally don't know what, with this new rule that just came in, we know that we're able to operate tomorrow. We literally don't know about Thursday, but we're assuming that we're going to be able to. So
I was just going to ask you that.
Yeah, so as of tomorrow, definitely just text the number that's available. It is going to be available through, obviously, all the social medias. You'll see all the stuff out there. Just all hashtag friends and family. But every Tuesday, Thursday, as of right now, noon to 2, Mondays and Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. is when the number is available to text in.
Okay.
So as you text in, it's going to send you to a prompt, and you're going to fill out a little Google form sheet, and it'll print out your vouchers for a meal.
I hope there are provisions for things like this as we navigate, like what's permitted, what's not permitted, what follows on. But because something like this,
and again, luckily, like in this exact scenario that we get to operate out of, Zeppelin Station has it's already has this absolute commissary kitchen, and
but you get it and go.
Right,
you're driving up, grabbing a meal, and
you don't get out of your car. If you're driving, you don't get out of your car.
Yeah, Jay, don't circle the block 3 times though. Man.
Right.
So it's honor system.
So restaurants are
we have a checklist. We have a checklist. We're done.
Yep.
So we just got this in from Sonia Riggs. Restaurants are excluded from Mayor Hancock's stay-at-home order, can continue to operate.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome.
Awesome just for the livelihoods of us as people, because my goodness gracious, the restaurant has been around for 600 years, the idea of a restaurant. So I'd like to see it keep going.
It will. It will. A little housekeeping, and I think housekeeping needs to be done right now, especially with your businesses. Now's the time to get your house in order. And I can tell you, it's stuck when you go into a restaurant, you kind of saw the wheels falling off a little bit. And now's that time to maybe regroup. And family business owned and operated, you think about the chain and the ripple effect. It's businesses like this that have been around a long time. And we talk about people doing business with people, not brands doing business with brands. Jeff Rourke's been doing business for a long time. He's family owned and operated. He installs tap lines and he does maintenance as well. Get it cleaned up right now, because you will be pouring that delicious craft beer. And also you can pour spirits off of tap lines right now as well.
Yeah.
So get your faucets ready. everybody. Seriously, foam is money. If you're pouring inefficient beer, what you doing, my boy Jay?
You're pouring your money down the drain.
Don't pour your money down the drain. Get it ready to go. Call him. Give him a call. Support local, and he is as local as you get. 720-272-3809. 720-272-3809. Jeff Rourke and A-Plus Beverage Solutions. We continue standing by. I want you, if you have time, I don't know if you have to jump, but I think you'll be interested in Dr. Sarah Metz, and we can talk about just that housekeeping in our brains, you know?
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Change of plans.
Yes.
So Chris Franklin from Levers is on board for about 5 minutes from now, and so I just pushed the doctor back.
Oh, cool.
So Chris will come on first.
I want to do that.
He's got the link, so when he's ready, he's just going to connect.
Do you feel like your pants are pulled up to your neck right now? I keep sitting down, I'm like, gosh, I got my pants all the way up my...
I don't know what problem you're having, but I'm fine. You were hot.
Wash your hands again.
I will.
Wash your hands again. I know I'm going through menopause right now. As you're watching.
See, it's you being around me. This is the problem. There's some more female energy here. The hormones are going.
What's been the scoop with operations on everyone the last couple of days on your show? Who's
doing what?
Yeah, who's trying to stay? Not who, but the people that are trying to keep it going. I mean, I'd like to tell everybody.
Right?
Yeah,
Great
I'd like to.
So right now, retail is gangbusters, doing just fine.
Yeah.
Food service, the chain is broken, and those that are in distribution, those are in manufacturing, those are making products. There's stuff that just goes out through food service distribution. It's like, where's the business? How do we change this model? Do we change this model? And when you hear folks that have been doing business for a long time, like Italco Food Products,
oh my God,
and they're opening up their.
Did you guys get any of the burrata?
I actually have a quote that I need to get back to Joe on.
Did you put a quote in?
I did. I did first thing on Friday.
So you can go online to italco.com and start to shop like you would if you were in food service for a restaurant. And they have the ultimate pantry, and it's opened up to people.
It's gorgeous.
Have you been inside?
Insider info,
Yeah.
Law's Whiskey House offices are
Across the
exactly
street.
across the street. So I got the call a few days ago. Hey, they got X amount of pounds of burrata at wholesale. How many do you want? We're like, oh, well, how many do we want? Please take. Oh my goodness! If anybody's in a position to take advantage of that, take advantage of that.
So there's lots of cool creative things going on with
creativity is going to rule the universe for months to come. Absolutely. My boss, Alistair Broden at Boulder Spirits.
Gosh, that's delicious.
Oh, thanks. He makes a hell of whiskey. I like talking about it. For another show. The amount of creativity that's going to come out, the necessity of creativity that'll happen out of this. That's something that for me is able to look forward to. And
it's remarkable. The ingenuity right now is just it's at an all-time peak.
I mean, granted, there's a lot of softened edges and laws that are kind of being just a tiny bit, but
yeah, who thought you'd get a mixed drink out of a big gulp cup? That's your favorite restaurant.
I had dirty martini last night.
Did you? How was it packaged?
Get out.
It was so. Andy and my roommate had, I can't remember what they had, but something with bourbon or whiskey. So they actually had flasks that were donated by the liquor company. It was in a to-go cup, and I told him no ice because I'm going to go home and put it on ice to drink it. So I don't need ice because I'm in public. And it was delicious, and it was great to support them. We walked right up. We stood 6 feet apart. I did a live shot from there, and God, it was good.
I'm so cheap, though, that a mixed drink, even if the times are fine and you go into a restaurant, it's like some cocktails you're 12, 13, jumping up into 14, 15 bucks.
Let me ask you as a consumer. No, you don't count. Let me ask you as a consumer question.
Yeah.
Just perhaps if a distillery, not anyone in particular, but if a distillery offered perhaps a 750 milliliter bottle of pre-batched old fashioned, along with the large ice cubes and orange to garnish, would that be an attractive offer? Because you would have basically 10 cocktails.
Tell me how much it costs, though.
At $40.
$40, 10
That's
cocktails.
not bad.
That's very reasonable.
Yeah.
Because think about how much. So put 10 old fashions on
and you're supporting local.
Yes, put 10 old fashions on your tab at a restaurant. What would that cost?
Oh, I do it all the time on my corporate card.
120. I'm going to go eat and drink with you, Mr. Corporate Card, on the Amex there. Again, creativity. People just figure, what's cool about it is that you get together, and here's one thing though: folks that are in breweries that have the ability to make crowlers or can. Restaurants are looking for you right now too, because they want to patch out those cocktails, and in particular, my buddy.
You mean utilizing the canning abilities?
Yeah.
Il Posto, right?
Dude, oh yeah. Well,
they just did that today, I think.
Do you know anybody?
Again, the cost of this, when you break down the cost as a consumer, I don't want to drive any business away from any on-premise account that's trying to do everything they can to scrape together the nickels and dimes that they need. But if you're going to bring in an outside canner just to bring in stuff to do your the cost is. We all donate our time. We're going to be donating a lot of all of our mutual times, but eventually you're going to have to make some dollars off of it, and those dollars have to filter down.
Yeah.
And there's not going to be a lot of volunteering if somebody's making money off of something particular, So
I like mason jars.
Yeah.
I saw the mason jar today, and I got very jealous, but it doesn't fit my brand.
Doesn't fit the brand. So you're doing some things yourself, though, right, with vapor?
Yeah, of course. Oh, do I get to talk about that stuff right now?
Please.
All right.
Now's the time.
Was this dead air right now?
It is.
UHF
we're off the air right now. We're just making Negley happy right now.
So Vital Touches, just if we want to talk about what Boulder Spirits is doing. Boulder Spirits by Vapor Distillery, but you'll all know it as Boulder Spirits. Hand sanitizer, yes, we're working on it. Right now, actually, Boulder Community Health reached out. They may have the other ingredients needed to make it. They just need the base alcohol. So we were trying literally like 2 hours ago, trading emails. So we may have a chance to get them a whole bunch of neutral grain spirit. So Boulder County Health can actually do their own. So
right.
We'll keep you updated on that. And regardless of bulk sanitizer, we've got our shipment of superfluous products coming in, even little pump spray bottles and all that stuff. Hopefully by Friday, we'll see. It's all tough. Again, it's all supply chain. We talked about this. If it's food supply chain or, now the chemical supply chain and food byproduct supply chain, it's all, just back ordered. In the meantime, we were supposed to be having an open house in 3 days where 150 people would be coming and celebrating some single barrel selections from us, but put that on hold because by the time you guys get to taste that whiskey, it'll just be older and better anyway. Right. So all shucks on that one.
Push the pause button.
Right. Our bourbon turns bonded on tax day. Well, what used to be tax day.
Yeah.
Right.
All that design work right down the old pooper.
July
15th. This is the 1 year in the past 20. And I shoot you not that I already did my taxes. I'm ahead of the game. I'm, good. I didn't get anything, but they're done. And and then,
pre-penalty.
Not to say that I would want the extra time because it's an unfortunate reason for why we have extra time, but it's just a little poetic.
Latest Colorado numbers, 720 cases of coronavirus and 72 hospitalized. As this week is what we're told. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
What's the news on tests?
The testing, and that's the thing. People will tell you that thousands around us already have it. That's why we're keeping people home to curb this as we do that race. I don't know, Rebecca. It's like now that's actually an interesting point because you start to look at people like, is that a carrier?
Right.
Is it, you're looking sideways.
Listen,
like
no self-respect germ would ever live in my body. We're going to be fine.
And we all brace as we prepare for the worst and hope for the best and quiet before the storm. Today was one of those days. It was Monday morning, I think everybody's waking up going, this isn't. I'm waking up out of this weird ass dream that we were in, and then you get back into reality and you go, boy, this is the new normal. Look at the world we live in right now.
I talked to the wife a lot about that merge in between like surreality and reality, because it is so much that very bit. that.
It's as bizarre as you can get.
Yeah, like
Ryan,
I wake
if I
up.
talked to you over some whiskey about 2 months ago and said this is what's going to happen, you'd say you're certifiable, man. They're not going to shut the country,
I would say,
the
Cheryl,
world down.
You've been smoking.
That's right. And here we are.
So a little update. If a Denver resident works outside the city limits, they are still required to stay at home. The city is asking for voluntary compliance if you are not seeking essential goods or services. The city is asking that residents stay in their homes. This is not a recommendation. Police will be patrolling and enforcing these orders. Law enforcement will check in with people to seek their reason for being out before ticketing people. Tickets, penalties may be required for those that choose to flagrantly disobey the orders. Business regulators will be stopping into non-essential businesses to ensure they are closed.
I missed some of that. What's the thing with curfew?
The last.
Well, I know, but what if I'm driving home from here? Well, I got to be here every day.
They'll ask you.
They'll ask
Well, you're on your way out.
Yeah.
You're essential media, Jay.
Was there a time?
There's
is there a curfew?
Let me
Beginning
look at
5 p.m. tomorrow, right?
Well, so beginning 5 p.m. tomorrow, but there's not an end time of if you're going
No,
home.
it's a 24-hour curfew.
Yeah.
You just don't be out.
So parks will be open for running and hiking, but congregation and public outdoor spaces will be banned under this ordinance, and park rangers will be monitoring the social distancing in the parks. Playgrounds will be closed. They were also stating this morning.
So long as you're going like 7
Just
miles
close,
an hour, you're
just
good.
close everything.
Well-
then. You know what I mean? Like, don't say people can go out running, but okay. It's like, just do it or don't do it.
So they were.
You know?
I agree, and they were
It's just
saying
so
earlier
annoying.
that they're asking you to kind of choose if you're a regular runner, let's say at 8 a.m. in the morning, to only go 2 days a week. To do this, I mean, it's just set the rules.
Run in place.
Right.
Just run in place.
Well,
Nagely.
I am setting up, you
can do
guys.
that.
We have turf in our backyard. My fabulous roommate has this beautiful house with great yard that we are going to set up our own little gym rotation. So we're not going to have to be out in the public. We're going to be doing jump rope and all these weird things in our backyard.
You don't want to end up in virtual court
Right.
because, Negley will have to put the whiskey aside, be real sure.
And I don't
Why
think it
were
works
you
like
out
crowd.
past 5 o'clock, Negley? Where were you going?
What I
What were
don't
you doing?
understand-
Explain yourself to the court.
Well,
Put your pants on.
I was down at the Modern Eater Studios trying to figure out how in the heck we're going to get
Don't use our name,
Hand
man.
sanitizer.
trying to figure out how we're going to get a live whiskey tasting.
We could do something like that.
Yeah,
More and more, we talk about virtual this, virtual that. People are just trying to figure out how to connect. And I want to tell you about these guys. It's Event Streaming Solution. This is what you need for your house. Have you recently been faced with canceling a speaking engagement or educational class? Now is the perfect time to stream your content online. The experts at Event Streaming Solution are standing by to answer your questions and find the right solution for disseminating your message. They can help educational institutions, churches, virtual meetings, which are big right now. Geez, probably concerts too. Are you a band? You want to get that out there? Just to set you up with the basics. No need to try and broadcast yourself and just fumble around. You can get a hold of the experts at Event Streaming Solution. They have a Facebook page, and you can also email them. They're happy to give you a customized package for whatever your needs. So if you're a church, you still want to get a hold of your congregation. They can't gather, but you want to get that Sunday message out there. This is perfect for you. Event Streaming Solution, no S at the end, Event Streaming Solution at gmail.com. So,
We got to get creative. Speaking of
time of
creativity,
stuff.
right? I mean, we're driving it home here.
do it. Get it in. Who else is doing cool stuff? Proud Souls Barbecue and Provisions. Look at these guys. They're open and adapting. And right now, this is probably pretty cool. This includes all supplies required for home grilling and barbecue needs. They will drop off to your door, Nagley. You don't have to go out and get busted with one of those tickets. Your door.
Even yours.
Meats, pellets, charcoals, woods, seasonings, sausage, grills, and accessories. If you call them at 720-612-7324. just tell them, hey, this is what we need. This is how we want to get going. If you want to make your backyard that oasis to where you're still smoking meats and you're eating very well, they accept all forms of payment and can gather a package of your shopping list over the phone. Curbside parking, lot load-ups are available. They're just down the street on Federal and 25th, or they'll send it to your right to your home. 720-612-7324. They're the experts when it comes to barbecue. It's Proud Souls Barbecue Provisions.
Love them.
Why not?
So
Love
good.
'em.
Love it.
How's your thoughts on delivery throughout this whole process?
Delivery? It's interesting because they're navigating through, and some of these businesses that are just set up for it, like Uber Eats and DoorDash and those types of things, they're being fairly reasonable and dropping some of their fees.
They really are, and supporting the restaurants in that way.
But I don't think they can deliver your liquor for you. Though.
No.
So that's where the hiccup comes in, is where in order to deliver that food with liquor to somewhere, it has to be an employee of that restaurant.
Here's your challenge, too, and I'll speak on behalf of one of our sponsors, Fourth. They will be able to consult on things like that. You have to be very careful of the type of insurance you're carrying with your employees. Take even just if they're not doing liquor delivery, but delivery essentially if they are not under a specific insurance policy.
Now listen up.
I mean, I'll touch on something right now that's very relative, and that's the cash grab that's happening, and that's because of all of a sudden now we can deliver alcohol. There's a lot of people, and I've already seen it on social media, that are just after it, and they don't read they saw a bullet point and then basically saw a meme about what's available, and now they're offering these things that are not by any means following any guidelines at all whatsoever. So I really want to urge any consumer that is going to follow, not regarding the food, I'm not talking about food, I only talk about the alcohols. But if you're gonna opt for this alcohol delivery system, especially in the prepared alcohol delivery part of it, please do your research. Make sure it's a trusted place and not just somebody that's willing to deliver alcohol within your zip code. Yep. That's not a way to go about it.
There are experts, though, and that's why we love Fourth so much, is because you gather the resources with Fourth. Is there a way?
If you're a trusted source, absolutely, and Fourth has built up an entire avenue of resources for that.
We have, thank you. Yeah, and actually right now I am doing consultative work free of charge. If you have a question, I will reach out to my HR team who want to support you during this time.
You did that with Jay, didn't you?
I did it with Jay. I've done it with a few other people who have reached out and said, hey, I'm confused. Brandon Camp actually wanted to give me a call to chat about some of the stuff, and we're happy to do it. Right now is not the time to sell to people, but it's a time to educate. Your SUTA rates are going to go up from your unemployment claims because you are allowing your employees to claim it. We actually can help to lower that and to just control it essentially. But we are here for any of those questions on things like liquor delivery.
It's a perfect time to educate and not just go out there and be desperate about what the situation is. We're going to have a solution to all of this. Right now, personal note, we'll take, we're doing the right thing by over stimulating this style of life, where we're moving into. I'm 100% behind, this quarantine-esque, effect.
Yeah.
If we can, God forbid, shut down life for a couple of weeks
and
to
then
save
let's get back to business.
Our entire economy, if we can save thousands of restaurant employees by just following some rules for a few weeks.
Exactly. And that's where we want to, I personally want, I'm a consultative person. I know when the temperature is right and when it's not. And right now people need help. They need resources. They need to be able to understand what is going to happen, especially when it comes to.
Before somebody acts on fear, they need to just calm down for just 1 second and find out where can I get the facts that I need.
And the delivery, the insurance is a key piece. And I really want to stress that to everybody who's thinking about delivery, not just liquor delivery, but delivery. Call your insurance agent. Please make sure that you are covered.
Rebecca, it's the Wild Wild West right now.
I know, but it's not going to be fun if God forbid there's an accident and it may not be your employee's fault, but they weren't covered under the right policy.
Look at this guy.
Right now, the police don't care if there's an accident that happens.
Nope, that's here.
Oops. Yeah, sorry, please do care next time. There was a knock on the door.
Oh, man. Joining us right now via satellite, I'd like to say, but no, he's on his phone. It's Chris Franklin, Lever's Locavore. Welcome back to the show. Chris, how are you?
Hey, Chris.
I'm doing well, thanks. Thanks for having me back out.
Oh, yeah, we're going to be, as we're brainstorming, I think that's what's so cool is the creativity. And we talked about food service and then retail and, what are people doing to help? Seemingly, you could be just a fat cat right now, raking in the cash. You're on the retail end. You have a grocery store. Those are where people want to go, and you can just stop right there. But that is not your mentality at all. You're extremely local, and you just want to help folks, and we're brainstorming together. But here you are, Chris Franklin from Lever's Locavore. First of all, how was your weekend, Chris?
Well, we don't have a weekend right now, so it's been. I got a little day off on Friday just to take care of some administrative stuff, but we're back at it and busy, and kind of waiting to see what's going to happen tonight too. So.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
This is where people emerge. You're seeing who's doing what and who's doing nothing right now. And you guys are doing so much. It struck you. We had a conversation last week and we were talking about, well, how can we help support these other businesses? And we talked about if you're going to do a gift card, think of it as a donation. You don't know who's going to emerge on the other side of this. So don't think that gift card is going to be great. But here's a way. And it struck me with the breweries, Rebecca, Chris, Ryan, it struck me with the breweries that they have such a fan base. It's almost like a football team or a baseball team, and they wear the hats. And just same with distilleries as well. Restaurants, that's an interesting thing. Right now, we're making a plea, and Juan Padro was in here a little bit earlier, and he has a lot of restaurants. If we could somehow, first of all, let me just jump to you. What were your epiphanies that came up in your head, Chris?
Well, you were mentioning last time I was in my work uniform, and here I am now. And you said, "Hey, I challenge you to go out and support another local brand," and that that really resonated with me. And I kept thinking all weekend about it in those few moments of sanity. And I thought, what can we do? And just keep.
What do you have on right now? What do you have on?
I'm wearing my Locavore work shirt. So,
cool.
But I got a bigger plan.
Let's do it.
So, and it's not fully formed, like you said. We're kind of brainstorming here, yep. But there's a lot of people whose favorite restaurants and social gathering places have closed down, and they're now in my store, which I'm grateful for. But they're missing that place where they used to be, and so. What I was thinking is that they'd love to maybe show some support for those restaurants. And the restaurants right now, some of them I imagine have some merchandise or uniforms, maybe a cookbook or two. So I started thinking what we could do with that. And I don't know, I've got a few different ideas. We've got some space that we can't use at our bar right now. Maybe we could set up a little pop-up shop where people could come by and, maybe buy a hat from their favorite restaurant or... buy a shirt, buy a book, whatever it is. We collect that money for them and pass that donation on to them. And just an easy way to take a tangible product that already exists and support them. So,
all right.
I will be your number one shopper, by the way, because I love gear.
I'm number two. Number two. I'm always number two.
I've got Cannonball Creek Brewery on today. Right. I mean, I love it.
Okay, let's brainstorm. What are all things that we need? We need some apparel racks, right?
Yeah, some apparel racks would be helpful. I've got to work through on the administrative side. How do we manage that? I can, like I said, I have space. I can find space to make that work. Some restaurants who have some materials that they can put out there. The apparel racks would be a great help. I mean, like I said, I'm thinking hats and aprons and who knows, maybe there's some chef knives or something like that we can put it out there. And I'm a big fan of we try it, we test it, see what happens, and go from there. So.
That's where we're at right now. Innovation is king. So let's do that. Let's get this out there in the broadcast. We'll beat the drum every single day. But here's the call to action. Restaurants, even if you're not open right now doing anything, you're just sitting on your thumbs and you're waiting to go, reach out to us because we want to compile a list of what restaurants, and should we include breweries and distilleries as well? Where do we want to keep that in there? Do we want to open that up?
Yeah, I think we could consider opening that up for sure. I think we might be limited to keeping it to a certain number, depending on how many people are interested. Maybe we do it for 2 or 3 weeks, rotate them out, anything along those lines. So
kind of like an art show, except it's an apparel show.
Well, and actually,
love it.
yeah, it's funny since we have a kind of a mezzanine seating area, which doesn't exist right now. But up there, we have some local artists who put their work out. And I love that analogy because that's basically what we'd be doing is putting that out. And I think people would love to show their support in a way they know is going directly to that restaurant or brewery, distillery, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I think that is just.
I love it. I mean, I've been putting out, Chris, I don't know if you're on my Facebook. I think we're on LinkedIn together, but, just putting out who is also selling merchandise along with their curbside, because I want to buy a hat. I want to buy a shirt. I want to do something I can when I can to support the brand.
Yeah.
And let's get that merch moving to at least get something back in their pocket.
And with grocery stores being some of the last stands of being open right now, Levers Locavore. What's the address of Levers?
2630 West 38th. So we're near 38th and Federal.
Yeah, so being centrally located, and if we can get this out and just organize it, that's what we're trying to do right now, is just distill the ideas down into an actual...
I think we're in the fermentation stage.
Yeah.
I call it letting it marinate. We're going to let it marinate now.
But brainstorm with us. I think we've got the overall idea and concept of what we would like to do here, and I know that would be a very cool, kind of an accoutrement of what you're doing right now. Offering some of that apparel that goes directly to the restaurant. And I think there's some cool apparel out there. It's just a great way to show that, listen, I'm supporting local and you're showing it. There's no doubt because you got it on.
Well, and even though we're on the different side of the food community, we work with a lot of local restaurants. As you said last week, we're working with a lot of your friends right now. And so it does hit close to home. I've got a restaurant owner in my family in another state. So believe me, it resonates. So trying to think of what we can do. Obviously, we'd love to do more, but this felt like kind of a manageable way to help some people out where they don't have to necessarily, by all means, if they can get all the carryout orders going, that's great. I brought in a bunch of food from my crew from some restaurants this week, just trying to support them. But this felt like a different way where that product probably already exists. We bring it over, and in a short amount of time, we turn it around, start generating some money for them.
Do you see how pumped he is?
Yeah.
He's so pumped.
A lot of coffee, too. A lot of coffee right now.
and I like it. And I think everybody right now is just going, what's out there? What can we do? What's working? But getting the money directly to, and it's probably not going to be a ton out there, but even beyond just a few bucks in the pocket of the restaurant, but showing the support is going to be much needed. Okay. Who's going to be the point person on this thing? Is it Rebecca? Can you take emails on who wants to be?
Oh, absolutely, you guys.
You'd be great at this.
I am happy to help. It's rebecca.berry@forth.com. That's where you can also send any questions on everything else that goes along with your business. But let's help out the community.
Apparel.
Let's get the apparel. Let's get it collected, and let's get it over for sale. And
generally, hats are worth, like they sell on the street, $25, something like that. I think we should make a hat, $50, $100, and a T-shirt. $50, $100.
I like it. I think, first of all, I love the fact that I called you earlier today. What was it, 2 hours ago? And I was like, hey, I've got this idea, and I don't know if it makes sense. And I just love how it's going to kind of grow and evolve from here. And so who knows, maybe the final version is a little different than even what we're talking about right now. But I like that idea. And I think people, like I'm dealing with people now who are in these crazy grocery stores because they miss that social connection. They miss going to the restaurant. So what a cool way to show some support and, so let's do it. I'm excited. I do think that, taking the normal pricing model, that just has to go away and people need to dig a little deeper if they can. I know not everybody can. And who knows, maybe,
can.
Maybe we'll do a variable.
Set a base and then we can have a donate, you can donate on top of it because there may be people who who only have the $15 to $20 that they can give and they still want to do it though.
Sure.
Where 50's just pushing a little too much.
All right, well, that's where we're figuring this out.
Yeah.
And, here it is. We're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. We're going to get back all week long. We're going to get to this. But Rebecca's going to put a little structure to that. We know we have the location. Your heart's in the right place. This isn't something that you're doing to add to your bottom line at Levers. This is you're doing the gimme. You're offering up some space for us to cultivate this. So this will kind of be the modern eater Levers Locavore way of getting restaurants apparel together to give back to the community in a fashion that we like and we're going to love to talk about. Scream from the rooftops.
Absolutely. And Chris, I'll get in touch with you off air and kind of collaborate together to see what we can do and let me know how you want me to guide. This is your brainchild, but happy to. I know you're busy. You've got your hands a little full.
A little bit. Yeah.
So
I
I'm
may
happy to
happen
help.
to know the premier food and beverage printing person in the entire city. So
Wait, hey,
when it comes
Oh.
time for sponsors,
Well, it might be a cool idea, too, that once we get together a list of who wants to participate, do like a We Are One shirt and have a list of, you know how they do sometimes on beer collaborations? They'll put all of the lists of,
an old. I'm going to go thinking more '80s metal tour T-shirt.
and on the back, it's just different.
Never mind.
That's what I was thinking.
Wheels turning right now. The wheels are
Well,
turning.
you'll all be hearing from me, and I'll create some sort of Save the Restaurant apparel group that will get out on Facebook as well.
Lots is changing right now. First, can we get an update from you, Chris Franklin, Levers Locavore, on the line with us? How's it going there? Are you stocked up? Is there a protein run right now? Toilet paper aplenty? What are we seeing? Do you have any bone broth? We can't find that anywhere.
Yeah, we've got sort of mixed results. We definitely have produce in right now. The butcher shop's well stocked. Toilet paper is still a precious commodity, but I do have some. I don't want to create a panic run over there right now or anything. But yeah, and every day it's a little bit different. We're getting some more deliveries in tomorrow, and really every day through the rest of the week. So it's the challenge right now is it's a mystery knowing what's going to show up. It's like the truck's there, you open it up, and you hope you get some good food in there. So if you're gluten free, you're in the best shape right now. So we got every kind of gluten free flour imaginable. So come on down. So.
Fantastic.
Did you hear that? All my other ingredient challenged people, that's where you got to go. Like, you'll be able to get all the things.
Okay, Rebecca, how long do you think it'll take for you to get a structure to this?
Well, give me a couple days. Let me get with Chris, and I'll have a better answer for you tomorrow.
We'll have you back on Wednesday.
Yep.
Sounds good.
See you then.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Chris.
Bye.
Chris Franklin, Levers Locavore. You're off mic, but you had something to say there. What did you have to say? Oh, the apparel.
Apparel.
Oh, you got it? Okay. All right. It's coming up on 5 o'clock in the Mile High City. Thank you for joining us as we continue on this 8th day of just a shutdown of the city. It's Monday, March 23rd. We continue with great coverage throughout the week here. Don't forget, and you'll want to tune in tomorrow. Alex Seidel and Justin Brunson, they thought it was very important that they come in together to show that unity. So tomorrow, starting at 2 o'clock, Justin Brunson and Alex Seidel will be in the Modern Eater Studios. Just as every day is different. Every day is different.
We're trying to take a pulse on the day. We don't know what's going to happen. I mean, hours ago, we were excited because people were able to go and get liquor from all the restaurants, the cocktail lounges, the distilleries, and now we're coming to another halt of where we can even be during the day. But be safe, be smart. There's resources. You'll be able to get food delivered, but just take care of each other. Let's get through this, and let's get through this so we can get back to business.
Back to business. Dr. Sarah Metz standing by for the doctor. And we always need that kind of just uplifting. Leave us in a bright spot, doctor, right? We're going to try and check in with her throughout the week. So I think I love seeing that pop up. There she is.
Hi, doctor.
How are you guys?
Good.
Good to hear your voice, doctor.
Yeah.
Dr. Sarah Metz joins us right here on the Modern Eater Show for our daily dose is what we're talking about, daily dose of mental health. What a weekend, doctor.
What a weekend. And I've been sitting and listening to the show for a bit, and it made me smile because you guys got so excited, and the conversation you were having about the apparel and getting people socially connected, I think really speaks to the power that we can kind of harness during this time. There's so much fear out there, but you guys were just absolutely feeding off each other and excited, and it's a great idea, and I hope you guys run with it. And I'll definitely be lined up to buy some of that apparel once you guys are up and going.
I know.
Awesome.
So for our daily updates, we're probably going to see the doctor wearing local hats and T-shirts. So kind of on a daily basis, it changes. And I think that that's the same way with people. Just when you're in a time of the only thing being certain is uncertainty, we look to each other for comfort. And we go, what's this week going to bring? But I think a lot of us are coming out of that denial period. Every day that I wake up, doctor, I go, it's going to be normal. Today's a normal day, and then it's not.
And I think I would say I do the same thing. I think we all kind of grab for our phone when we first wake up and we scroll and we think that was nothing. That wasn't really as bad as I thought it was. And you're right. Today it'll have all cleared up. And unfortunately, that's just simply not where we're at right now. But that is why it's so important for us to keep finding that balance and to keep, balancing, staying updated and making sure that we're tuned in to what the news is saying. But also harnessing that creativity and the social connection. I was talking to my husband about this the other day, and I thought it's interesting that we keep calling this social distancing when really what it is physical distancing. It really shouldn't be social distancing. We have to get more creative about what that social connection is. But again, in your industry, social connection is so important, and we actually don't want people to get away from their social connections. It's really simply physical distancing that people need to be really mindful of right now.
Doctor, can you write a couple paragraphs on that so we can put that out there? Because I think that needs to change immediately.
Sure, absolutely.
That's you would think that would be so apparent. And yet, it's interesting as far as the way lexicon works. The meaning of words and changing words. And I think that lexicon needs to be changed immediately to that physical distancing and keep the social part out of that.
Right, because I think those really are completely different concepts. And really across the board, as we hear what all of the different professionals are saying, they're all simply referring to physical distancing. And I do think that is really important right now. I think we all have to do our part, but again, the nice thing about technology, if we harness it the right way, is there are still a lot of ways that people can stay socially connected. And I think to maintain mental health right now, it's so essential that people find ways that are authentic to them and meaningful to them, or they're still doing that, reaching out to friends and coworkers and family, coming up with these creative concepts like you guys are talking about and rolling with that. And that's all still very doable right now.
Yeah, I see you as superhuman, Doctor, and your husband's probably on here right now. He's going to
again listening. Yes.
What are some of the things that superhuman Dr. Sarah Metz right now is facing?
We're facing some of the same things that everyone else is. We're having to make. I own a small business, and so we're having to make those same calls as to how do we support our clients who need us to be available to them, but also really protect them, their families, our families, and so we're moving to telehealth. And so I've got 9 clinicians that work for me, and really trying to make sure that they're taken care of and still feeling supported on their end. So as a small business owner myself, I understand a lot of the pressure that people are under and that feeling of I have people that I need to take care of and I want to make sure that they're okay. I do understand that mindset. And so I'm balancing that again with making sure I get outside and enjoy the fresh air and enjoy the family time. And that's, I preach it all the time, but I'm trying to make sure that I live it as well.
Yeah. What's the tone of some of the calls that you're fielding from folks right now?
A lot of fear, and really we're kind of getting to that point where that fear is turning into just feeling overwhelmed. You think about any time you're really anxious or afraid, your body can tolerate that for only so long, and it kind of crashes. And so we need people to be very mindful that that's going to happen physically. Is everyone's going to crash, and you've got to ride that out. And all those people who are trying to take care of their folks and take care of their brand. Also have to recognize they've got to make sure that they recharge, and their batteries are going to drain, and they're going to need to take a step back from that for just a minute to make sure they take care of themselves, because that's a big part of this too.
If we were to listen to some of the top brass, whether on a local, state, or federal level, they'll say to us, the worst is yet to come, and you're about to see folks getting sick around you. And I've seen just the other day, probably my first video of somebody sitting in a hospital bed with their telephone and a ventilator on saying, this is serious. This is a sickness. And I think people just feel like the walls are closing in on them and kind of, that's suffocating. But is there a certain amount of time that you should allow yourself or should you stay away from stuff like that completely if you know it's going to change your mindset?
I think it's important for people to take in a little bit of that information, because really in some ways that information allows you to access the other side, which is to be really grateful for what you do have. If you stay too naive to it, then you don't recognize those and so staying grateful and recognizing, yes, those are real concerns, but also make sure that you are grateful for the health that you have right now. You're grateful for the home you have right now, and you're grateful for those things. Stay a little bit when you can, stay in the moment so that you can recognize the value of that. You two are smiling. I can't imagine that it right now. I know those looks.
Well, Mr. Nick, you may know Nick. He chimed in and said, "Superhuman spirit guide, you're going to make my life at home so difficult."
I think to like you two more than my social life.
And I think it's important, Doctor, right now to build each other up. I don't see any problem with that. Go out of your way to compliment or bring positivity. What do you think, Doctor?
I agree. And again, it's that humor piece, is be humorous and be lighthearted and play and do all the things you would normally do. Again, the restaurant industry is known for its humor and its ribbing of each other. And that shouldn't go away. You've got to stick with that. And that's, I think it's important for people to recognize if you have a group of people who are trying to find a moment of joy and laughter, it's not that they don't understand the severity of what's happening or they're naive to it. It's, again, it goes back to simply find the balance. You can't stay in that negative headspace all of the time. Take a moment and really just feel how much better it is to laugh and how that recharges you. I would guess both of you sitting there would say you've had some really heavy conversations today, and a moment where you can laugh and feel creative recharges you. It makes you feel like, okay, I can do this. And so helping people just recognize that they do, in fact, feel better when they have those moments to recharge, I think is really important.
Yeah. How about keeping an even head? When, I saw this. I was going to use it as myself, but going through a grocery store and you see somebody with a cart and they have all the detergents and hand sanitizers and they're stockpiling things and you go, I want to just lay into this person, like, let us all have a little piece of that. And you do lay into them. And then all of a sudden they say to you, are you done yet? Because I need to get back to stocking the shelves here. You don't know people's situation right now. How do you just keep that default point to where you're not jumping to conclusions, you're not jumping down somebody's throat, and you're not taking your personal insecurities and making somebody else's life hell that day?
Right. And that's really important. And I actually felt that the other day. I went out shopping and I was shopping for multiple households. And I felt like I had to explain that to absolutely everyone, saying, this isn't all for me. I'm shopping for multiple households. I'm shopping for folks who can't get to the grocery store. And you feel like you have to explain yourself. And so I think it is just really important, like you said, for people to just stay in your own lane. Just take care of yourself. And as much as it's easy to lash out at other people and to kind of get wrapped up in what they're doing, we don't know what their situation is. We don't know that they might be shopping for multiple families. We don't know what they might be trying to do to take care of others, and just kind of assume the best in people. It's easy to assume the worst, but that really just drags you down. So really just try to stay in your own headspace and watch out for that.
You can't see him. He's off screen right now, but Ryan Nagley's in here. I think you put your hand up for a question for the doctor. Did you? Lay it on her.
And this is totally, hello, doctor. And this is totally coming from the pure service industry side of things and the bartender side of things, and especially the bartender side of things, not the restaurant bartender, but the bartender. How are we addressing sleep issues right now with the entire restaurant community that's used to being up till anywhere between 10 and 4 in the morning?
Great question.
That is a great question. I hadn't even thought of that.
It's a great question, Wyatt. I'm glad you asked that. And I think sleep hygiene right now is so important. And I think part of what we have to have people recognize is try to stick with whatever structure works for you. If you're used to sleeping odd hours, to some extent, you've got to try to maintain a little bit of that same routine. But really look at basic things that you can do for sleep. And this is where I can get super nerdy science on you. And look at the basics. We know that you're supposed to sleep in the dark, right? Everybody knows that even if you have to sleep during the day, get blackout curtains, get an eye mask, and make sure that you're sleeping in a dark environment. One step up from that is you've got to check the temperature of your sleep environment. Most people don't change the temperature in their home when they're getting ready for sleep. You have to remember your body responds to temperature change. So as nerdy as this sounds, make sure that even it's small sleep hygiene things, turn the temperature in your house down a couple of degrees when you're trying to get ready for sleep. It helps your brain to start to transition into sleep. One of the things we know is also happening is everybody's brain is what we call monkey brain right now. It's the loose animal at the circus that you can't contain, and your mind is going crazy. And if that's happening, you've got to make sure that you try to get a journal, write some of those thoughts down, try to organize some of that so your brain will stop trying to use the sleep hours to process things. The annoying thing I'm going to say, and I know you guys just had the breweries on and the distilleries, and so I'm going to be super annoying, Doc, for a minute. But we also know that alcohol, if you have more than one average size drink in your system when you're trying to get to sleep, it locks the door to restful sleep. You have a certain kind of sleep, REM sleep, you get into when you're sleeping, and that basically cleans the brain. You need REM sleep. And unfortunately, alcohol in your system when you're trying to sleep prevents you from being able to have REM sleep. So sorry, guys, but try to you're drinking earlier in the day. How about that? But
so passing out doesn't count as REM sleep?
No, because you're not closing your eyes and waiting. There's a big difference.
So make your surroundings conducive to sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, those are, some of those seem like such small things, but they really do have a big impact on sleep. And so again, we know right now it's hard for people to sleep. They're so worried. They're so concerned. So anything you can do to protect your sleep, definitely do that.
What's preventing you from killing your husband?
I kind of like him. He's annoying as hell, but I sort of like him. So I think I'll give him a little while longer. We'll see. Check back with me later in the week, and we'll see if he's still around.
Well, Nick, just mind your P's and Q's, because we'll take her in. No problem. Right there. and just leave us with that. Just a couple of points that you can, if you start to find yourself getting irritated with your loves, there are certain things that'll just drive you crazy, whether it's the picking of the teeth or whatever it may be. You're around your loved ones a lot more than normal right now. How can you keep that sanity or the peace in the house, Doctor?
Yeah, it's even with that, it's about recognizing that, of course, temperatures are higher right now and people are more stressed out. And so remembering what you like about them. Nick and I are both very type A personalities, and we can get on each other's nerves like anyone's business because we're pretty type A. But we also have a lot of memories that we laugh and find joy in. He was telling me this morning when I woke up, he was saying he was looking at all old videos of us and when we were laughing and enjoying some travel. And, just kind of reflecting on those memories can really help people stay in that positive space.
Back in the good old days.
That's what we were saying the other day. And it's funny, I kind of lost it with Andy yesterday because he brought up the rice tortillas versus the corn, and I was like, there's that corn, and then I had to go, oh my god, I'm sorry.
Wow, I'm sorry. Yeah, you got to take that moment to just. Is it okay to say, leave me alone? I'm not.
Yeah. It is. I think, people need space. And if you can ask for it, if you can try to do it in a somewhat loving way, that would be fantastic. If you can't do it in a loving way, it's really important for couples to come back and repair. If you know you messed up, come back and say, I got that wrong. I snapped at you. That really wasn't fair. And I'm sorry for it. It's hard for people to say, I'm sorry. I'm one of them. Nick's probably texting you right now that I should take note. However, to try to repair when you can.
I guarantee it.
Awesome.
Jay hasn't chimed in yet, but I know he has something for you, Doctor. We got Jay.
I spelled counseling wrong in the title.
That's the least of our worries.
Man, I'll tell you what, this gosh dang. So, there's two things happening in my life when it comes to typing, right? Which is, one, autocorrect.
That you may not have advice for him here. He might just be venting. And venting is okay, isn't it, Doctor?
So here's the thing is autocorrect is ruining my life, and then the lack of intelligence is ruining the other side. So that when something I know how to spell, I type it correctly. For example, Juan Padro's name. So the computer goes, well, Padro, I don't like that. I like Pedro, right? So Juan Pedro came out at first, which makes me and us look like schmucks. And so I apologize for that, right? And then there's a word like counseling where C's and S's, and nobody knows anything about that word really. And but the same spell correct goes, oh, no, that word I recognize, but I will not help you because I don't love you. And then that's what the universe and my mother have in common.
Jay, you realize these are not billable hours.
Yeah, that's right.
Doctor?
I will tell all of you, Jay, you're bringing up one of my very favorite memes out there is it's never, when it's talking about autocorrect and it says it's never duck.
Yeah, I just and Rebecca Berry, bless her heart, just told me that this thing was wrong, and so it's with 10 seconds to go. Here's the correct spelling of a really common word that I can't blame on. Well, listen, man, nobody knows how to spell Oaxaca, okay? And I've only been to Mexico once, and I was young, and I was intoxicated. X's, H's, it's a crazy language anyway. I speak English. I don't have that to go on. I do have the fact that I don't have AC or a swamp cooler. So when you say turn the temperature down to go to sleep, I'm somebody that's just like sit on an ice pack, I guess.
But you're getting creative. You see that as an option. Sit on an ice pack. There you go. Sleep butt out. You'll be fine. Yeah, open a window.
And that's something that it's so funny as we just kind of have this humor towards the end of the show. And thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
This is why we want to do this. But truly, Jay won't fix that situation. So in the dead summertime, he'll come back and tell me stories of where he actually would freeze a T-shirt with water in his freezer and wear it at night as he tries to go to sleep. So
I like it. That's getting creative. It counts. It works.
I'd also like to point out that in your website, code4counseling.com, I spelled it correctly. So that's if you're trying to get to the website, you're going to be A-okay. If you were looking to the right of or to the right of your face on our stream, a few people may have gone, hey, listen, who's in charge of typing people's names?
Yeah, but it auto-corrected probably in their search engine, so you're fine.
Yeah.
It did, and it does not take them to a porn site. So it's fine. It's where they're going. All good.
Hey, so what do you think's happening in the? Never mind.
Oh, Doctor, do this as we wrap this up, and thank you for joining us. I don't know if this is an ongoing date throughout the weeks here. We'd love it to be as much as you possibly can, but your time is very valuable. And Code 4 Counseling, I would love if you just took an opportunity of the type of folks that can reach out to you, and can people do that? Tell me more.
Yeah, so typically on the average day, we typically Code 4 Counseling was originally started to support our first responders. So on the day-to-day, we typically take care of firefighters and police and dispatch and nurses, hospital workers. Those are kind of the people that we typically take care of. Probably about a year ago, as some of you know, there's a lot of responders that also work in the restaurant industry and own businesses and own restaurants. And so our worlds kind of collided through some of our responders who had restaurants in the local area. And so I met Mary Mino and some other folks, and they've just been fantastic. So we're working with the Colorado Restaurant Association and some of the other groups to see if there's a way that we can try to make sure that we provide telehealth to restaurant workers who are struggling right now. We've done some trainings, stress trainings, things like that with some of the local restaurants and owners. And so their folks already know they can reach out to us, and even other groups right now. We'll do a to take care of their folks. They can call and set up a telehealth session if they'd like.
Awesome.
Yeah, and as we continue on and we're seeing different creative things like virtual happy hours and virtual concerts, and Doctor, maybe you think we could set up a symposium of?
Is there such thing as a group health?
Yeah, could we do a group hangout and do some health?
I mean, we're
stuff?
all just so used to being in this group mentality and bitching and venting about all the same stuff anyways.
Sound fun, Doctor?
Is it would that be okay? Is there a multi-personality aspect to this?
Yeah, we absolutely can do that. And we've actually had some hospitals and some other groups reach out and ask if we can do some kind of group platforms for their folks as well. So we're rolling with it as much as everybody else, and we'd be happy to set something like that up. And if that's something that people would like to kind of join a chat room and have some facilitated discussions, and I can just kind of be there and hang out and kind of answer some questions for folks, I'd be happy to do that.
What book are you reading right now?
You guys asked that question earlier. I am reading Little Fires Everywhere. Apparently, I don't watch television, so I don't know these things. But there's a television show on Hulu, I think, with Reese Witherspoon, and it's based on the book Little Fires Everywhere, and it's a really good book.
Oh, yeah,
Cool.
I've seen the show.
Are we on your laptop or phone?
You're currently on my laptop.
On the laptop. You know, in the days ahead here, when we've covered every single topic, you know, we're going to ask for a tour of the house.
Oh, you can absolutely have a tour of the house after I clean it. Today would be a very bad day to do it.
Somehow I feel like, you know, to me and you, Greg, and probably, well, Ryan's married, so maybe not him, but it's like I get the feeling when somebody says that, you know, if she got up right now and goes, okay, I have to do it, we put a gun to her head, you have to do it, she'd walk us around and I'd go, are you kidding me right now? Yeah, I'd be like, I don't know, you don't know what filth is, man.
We saw Jay's house the other day. He had laundry everywhere.
Listen, I found something behind the toilet that I don't even know. It wasn't. I think it was food, and I don't know how long it had been there for. That's when you don't want somebody taking a tour of your house.
My concern is, why is there food behind your toilet?
Hey, listen, I'm not saying it was food, okay? But I'm just saying it looked more like food than anything else.
Right now.
You know, that's all I'm saying. I need help, doctor. I just need help. This has been going on. This has been going on like 42 years and 11 months before the coronavirus outbreak occurred. So, you know, we've got our work cut out for us. No problem. I'll just call you tonight around 3 a.m. and we'll just chat about it.
We love you so
Thanks,
much.
doctor. We appreciate you.
I would tell you that would be a new one for me. If you are tasting the items behind your toilet, I have not had that come up before. So you be quiet.
My appetite is completely gone. You guys know I love to eat.
And it sounds like a wet market, really. You know, maybe we've got the new virus just waiting to get out there.
You know, if you guys want the truth, I'll tell you the truth.
No,
it's a real story.
No, I don't.
All right, I'll tell you guys off the stream. It's a good one.
Okay, doctor, thank you so much. Tomorrow,
I'll be there. Yep.
Okay,
awesome.
we'll see
It's
her
a date.
tomorrow. Dr. Sarah Metz, Code 4 Counseling, and it is spelled correctly right now, doctor. Yeah. Thank you so much. Say hi to Nick for us. I can't wait to meet Nick. All right.
I know, we got to have him on next time. I do want to touch on creativity as we're discussing creativity. So Hazel Art Bar, they're a cocktail lounge on South Pearl, right in between Unamas and Sexy Pizza, and we've been talking a bit about them. I went there yesterday. Tori's actually donating these adult coloring flower books that essentially she's hoping that once we get back on track, that she can hang them all over the restaurant. So you'll be able to get one of these with, don't touch my stuff. I'm kidding. You'll be able to get one of these at her bar. So please stop in, say hello while you can. And I'm going to spend some time coloring this week.
Yeah, tomorrow I want to do this. We'll end the show now, but tomorrow, some cool things. And lots of people are out there, and you're like, what am I going to do with my kids? The Sadowskis, Linda Sadowski and My Make Studio. We'll talk about that tomorrow.
I'm super excited about this.
Tomorrow's show, it's going to be a cool one. Please tune in, 2 p.m. Alex Seidel and Justin Brunson as we stay united right here and just one day at a time. Rebecca Berry, you're just fantastic. You're doing a great job.
Too. I appreciate the opportunity to, reach out to the community and to be a support for them. It really means a lot
You're
to me.
You're shining like a star.
Well, I take after the best.
The star that you are. Jay, anything in closing? We know that you have stuff, food,
to clean,
food behind your toilet. So no, you don't know.
It was a brownie.
Oh my god!
Or a chocolate cake or a cupcake.
Again, why are you eating in your bathroom? That is my biggest.
Well, now I'll say this: these were back in my drinking days, so it's a story from a while back, And the answer to that question is I have no idea. If I was eating in the bathroom, if I was eating in the shower, if I was eating in my bedroom and I threw it into the bathroom because I was a little inebriated, nobody really knows.
We're down to 0 viewers.
There it is. Are we down to 0?
0.
That's a lot longer than I thought. Usually when I start talking, it's faster than that.
Ryan, thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Juan Padro, fantastic job today. Just really, really great. And again, just a recap on today, if you're just waking up now from a terrible depression of what in the world is this, hopefully you got Dr.
Or
Sarah
if you were in the
Metz.
Big Brother house and you have no idea what's actually going on.
That's summertime. I actually like the Big Brother show. I doubt they'll have that this summer. Oh. But cutting the work for in half, more and more folks are asked to stay home, and Denver came out and said today that recreational pot and liquor stores to close. 5 p.m. tomorrow is the deadline. The rush is on. Behave yourself out there. April 10th, even if you don't get your weed and even if you don't get your booze till April 10th, it probably wouldn't harm you.
You're going to be fine. And actually, they are going to be open with extreme physical distancing in place. They must have really, in the last 2 hours, just gotten a beat down. So they will be open, but again, just be smart about what you need. You guys don't need it that bad.
Travis
Maybe
Smith, the last comment, you got the last word. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. No, appreciate you guys. All in this together. This is Denver, man. This is Colorado. You think about how lucky you are where you live in the world. You go, geez, I'm just so happy to be alive, which is fantastic. And then you go, wow, I'm just so happy to be American, which is fantastic. And then you go, I'm just so happy to live in Colorado. And then you go, I'm just so happy to live in Denver. This is the greatest place on the earth. And if any place is going to get back to where we were even stronger, it's going to be right here in this community. I'm proud of all of you guys. Practice.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, it used to be, Jay, it used to just be safe sex is all you had to worry about. Now there's a lot more safety that's got to go on.
What was I worrying about? Hey, listen.
Nobody's even watching us anymore.
No. Well, I wasn't. That's not where my joke was. But first of all, yeah, safe, man. You have to have sex to worry about it being safe or unsafe.
Here, the order, this just in, and we'll leave the show with this. The order has been updated with the following changes. Liquor stores with extreme physical distancing in place will be exempt. Who's going to police that? And all marijuana stores with extreme physical distancing in place will be exempt. So they're going to figure out ways and provisions on that, Jay. What's extreme? I don't know, but we're living in extreme times right now. Whatever it is, go with the flow, adapt, and be kind to each other. We love you. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Virtual hug.
2 p.m. The Modern Eater Show continues.
Thanks, guys.